Chapter 121. Hee little guy, do me a favor. A white-bearded old man with small eyes suddenly fell from the sky. Moreover, he was an expert with the strength of the void-piercing realm, and inexplicably said such a sentence to Chu-Hen. This really made Chu-Hen stunned in place. Who are you? Stay away from him. Shi-Lan, who had not yet fully recovered, stood up, her eyebrows slightly knitted, and her cold eyes were full of caution as she looked at the person. There's also a little girl, and a pretty little girl. Sorry, this old man's eyes are too small, and I didn't see so many people. The old man's small eyes flashed with a sneaky light, and then without waiting for Shi-Lan to say anything, he grabbed Chu-Hen's shoulder. Little guy, I don't have much time, come with me first. You, whoosh. Before his voice fell, the old man directly took Chu-Hen off the ground, and turned into a shadow that swept towards the sky. Chu-Hen. Shi-Lan's expression changed greatly. Little girl, don't worry, this old man will not hurt your little boyfriend. I will send him back to you tomorrow. Damn, old man, don't talk nonsense. He is a mentor, and I am his student. Chu-Hen said with some dissatisfaction. Tsk, who are you lying to? What were the tutor and the student doing in the wilderness? You guys are really interesting. Look at you, your clothes are torn. Sigh, children nowadays. It's getting more and more outrageous. Listening to the other person's nonsense, Chu-Hen could not help but have black lines on his forehead. Wait, where are you taking me? Don't worry, we will be there soon. In a few blinks of an eye, the white-haired old man with small eyes disappeared into the distant sky with Chu-Hen. Shi-Lan stood in the same place, her lily-white hands clenched together, and her eyes surged with a trace of powerless worry. This feeling was somewhat similar to what had happened a few years ago. But even so, the other party was a top powerhouse at the level of void-piercing realm, and Shi-Lan could only watch helplessly and could not stop it. Mentor Shi-Lan. At the same time, the people from Tensei Prefecture led by Mentor Zhua Mo finally arrived. Lei Zhen and the others from St. Bell City were among them. Mentor Shi-Lan, are you all right? Lei Zhen asked politely. Mentor, where's Chu-Hen? Where's Chu-Hen? Zhou Lu had a nervous look on her face. Previously, she had managed to escape from Blood Ghost's clutches with Chu-Hen's help, but Chu-Hen was in deep danger. If something were to happen to Chu-Hen, Zhou Lu would not be able to live in peace for the rest of her life. Mu Feng, Haozi, He Qingyuan, and the others were also confused. Screech. Before Shi-Lan could answer their questions, a loud eagle's cry resounded through the mountains and rivers. Everyone's heart skipped a beat as they raised their heads to look at the sky. 3 gigantic beasts spread their wings, shuttling through the void and rapidly moving forward. The 3 beasts were more than 100 meters wide when they spread their wings. They looked a bit like eagles, but they had a long snake tail. The beast's body was covered in fine scales, and under the sunlight, it was as resplendent as a gemstone. 9th level spirit beast, wind snake eagle. Lei Zhen from St. Bell City said the names of the 3 beasts. His tone was full of fear. There were many beasts in the Sky Lake Mountains, and there was no lack of powerful beasts above Spirit Beast. However, within 100 miles of St. Bell City, the highest level of spirit beasts would not be higher than 6th level spirit beasts. As for those above 6th level spirit beasts, they were all deeper in the mountains. Now that 3 9th level spirit beasts had appeared, everyone was surprised. There are people on the snake eagles. Mu Feng shouted. Everyone was startled, and they looked again. Sure enough, there were about 20 to 30 people on the back of the 3-winged terror serpent eagles. All of them wore tight clothes and carried sharp weapons on their backs, and every single one of them emitted an extremely fierce and sharp aura. What was even more surprising was that each of them wore a mask on their faces. When they passed by the crowd, one of them subconsciously lowered his head and glanced at the crowd. Despite the distance, everyone seemed to be able to feel the cold, sharp gaze behind the mask. Experts, absolute experts. Almost every one of them was emitting a bloody and murderous aura. Only after years of cruel killings could they be endowed with such a chilling aura. This is? Zuomo and the other mentors from Tensei Prefecture looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. It's the royal family's dark elite team. A few clear and heavy words came out of Zuomo's mouth. As soon as they heard the words royal family's dark elite team, everyone's expression changed. Everyone in Saint Star Dynasty knew that the royal family's dark elite team was the dynasty's highest and most confidential mission execution team. The Dark Elite team was only loyal to the royal family. Every member of the royal family's Dark Elite team, from birth to death, would have their personal information kept confidential. As long as they were executing a mission, they would wear a mask. Usually, even if they were walking on the street, you might not be able to recognize them. With so many experts from the Dark Elite team, it seems like this is no small matter. A mentor from Tensei Prefecture said cautiously, "It's better for us not to get involved in the affairs of the royal family. Let's return to St. Bell City as soon as possible," Zuomo said. Shilan looked at the three winged serpent eagles that disappeared into the sky. They were heading in the direction where Chu Hen was taken by the mysterious elder. In other words, Chu Hen was already in an unknown danger. Mentor Zuomo, yes. You bring them back first. What about you? I'll bring Chu Hen back. What? Everyone was stunned. Did something really happen to Chu Hen? Shilan didn't say anything. Her beautiful eyes rippled with an indescribable complexity and solemnity. Screech. The wind serpent eagles moved extremely fast. The three black dots were moving rapidly in the mountain range below. The magnificent mountains and forests in front of them were like a green ocean. Between the undulating mountains, the peaks were high and precipitous, the cliffs were thousands of feet high, and there were countless dangerous rivers and ridges. Your Highness, that seems to be a training team from Tensei Prefecture. On the winged serpent eagle in the middle, a man wearing a silver mask said respectfully to a woman in luxurious clothes who was at the front. The woman also wore a mask. Compared to the others, there were a few simple patterns on her mask. The patterns were red with a few simple strokes. It looked like a small cat. The woman's beautiful black hair fluttered in the wind. Although her clothes were loose, one could still see her alluring curves. Even though he was wearing a mask on his face, his innate elegance and elegance were still difficult to conceal. Don't worry about anything else. Our mission is to catch the thief rat god and retrieve the item, the woman said calmly. No one could tell if she was happy or angry. Yes. At this moment, in the sky above the Tianqi mountain range, Chu Hen grabbed the mysterious old man's arm tightly. He did not dare to say anything. Hey kid, why are you holding this old man so tightly? My old bones are about to be broken. I say, senior, can we fly lower? Chu Hen said. Hee, so you're afraid of heights. You're too timid. How high is this? Don't worry, with this old man here, you won't fall to your death. At most, you'll break your arms and legs. The mysterious old man joked. Your uncle. Chu Hen could not help but curse in his heart. He looked at the majestic towering mountains and precipitous ridges below. The vast and boundless mountain range was like the bones of a dragon crawling on the ground. There was an indescribable grandeur to it. I say, senior, why did you capture me? Can you tell me now? Chu Hen was actually quite anxious, but he did not show it. After all, the other party was a top expert in the void-piercing realm. It would be easy for him to kill him. Since he knew that resistance was useless, Chu Hen could only take it one step at a time. You're quite smart, kid. If it was someone else, they would probably be crying out of fright. This old man likes courageous juniors. Not bad, not bad. You're not answering the question. I'll tell you. Hold on tight, don't fall. The mysterious old man changed the topic. His tiny eyes flashed with a bright light. Then, his figure swept across, drawing an arc in the void with Chu Hen, and swept towards a mountain stream below. Damn! Chu Hen, who was caught off guard, was almost thrown out by the other party. His heart almost jumped out. The mysterious old man laughed heartily. Chu Hen directly cursed the 18 generations of this damned old man's ancestors in his heart one after another. Swoosh! The mysterious old man dragged Chu Hen, dragging a series of shadows in the void. Then, they arrived at the waist of a mountain stream. And halfway up the mountain there was a cave. It was dark and abnormally cold. Then, without saying anything, the mysterious old man directly brought Chu Hen into the cave. Hiss! The moment the two of them entered, a huge one-horned fire python issued a danger signal. But before the fire python could attack, the mysterious old man struck out with his palm, abruptly turning the fire python of the spiritual beast level into meat paste. Chu Hen unconsciously felt a chill down his spine. The strength of this old man was really not for show. It seemed that it was better for him to be more obedient. Hee, old senior, why did you bring me here? Hey, little guy, don't worry. As long as you listen to me obediently, I promise you can go back safe and sound. Of course, but old senior, I'm just an ordinary disciple of a high-level martial house. How can I help you? Chapter 122. It's very simple. I want you to help me copy something. The mysterious old man said to Chu Hen in a serious tone. What is it? Screech! Before the two could finish speaking, the loud and powerful cry of the wind serpent eagle came directly from outside. It caught up so quickly. The mysterious old man frowned slightly and immediately took out a strange item without hesitation. The item emitted a dazzling golden light that caused Chu Hen to squint his eyes. What was it? Chu Hen focused and saw that the other party was holding a golden book in his hand. With a single glance, it was obvious that it was not an ordinary item. The golden book was tightly closed and was about 30 centimeters long and 20 centimeters wide. There were 2 golden leaves printed on the cover of the golden book. Senior, what is this? Chu Hen revealed a puzzled expression. You don't need to ask any more. The mysterious old man placed the golden book in front of Chu Hen, then took out a blank scroll and brush and placed them on the ground. Listen carefully, use your fastest time to copy down the contents of this golden book. After you're done, throw this golden book here and leave with the copy. Leave? This is the edge of a cliff. How can I leave? Chu Hen replied angrily. There's a river below, you won't fall to your death. Your life is not yours, of course you don't care. Heh, little fellow, as long as you help me with this old man will give you a spirit weapon after this is done. Chu Hen's eyes lit up. Spirit weapon? That's right, and it's a treasure that's ranked on the spirit weapon ranking. It was rumored that in the central region of the vast thousand world, there was a mountain range that pierced through the clouds. At the peak of the heavenly mountain stood a towering stone tablet called the Divine Armament Ranking. The God Weapon Ranking was a collection of the patterns and rankings of the countless weapons in the world. There were 3 great rankings on the Divine Weapon Rankings. They were the Spirit Weapon Rankings, the Saint Weapon Rankings, and the Divine Weapon Rankings that were only recorded in ancient books. Any weapon that was able to enter the Divine Weapon Ranking would definitely be a treasure that countless people would fight over until their heads bled. Now, an old man, who he had never had any dealings with before, actually told Chu Hen that as long as he helped him copy something, he would be given a spiritual weapon. Moreover, it would be a spiritual weapon that was ranked on the spiritual weapon ranking list. These words sounded a little unreal no matter how one looked at it. Why do I feel like you're going to kill me when the time comes? Chu Hen narrowed his eyes at the other party, and he couldn't help but feel a little scared. I'm a man of my word. If I lie to you, then I'll be a coward. I don't have time to explain so much to you. That girl has already brought people to chase after us. Your time is very limited. Remember, don't make any mistakes in the contents above. What girl? What chased after me? Don't tell me you stole this thing? Hey. I say, old senior. Before Chu Hen could ask any more questions, the mysterious old man had already turned into a stream of light and flew away. In the sky above the Heaven Lake mountain range, several lush green mountains stood tall and majestic, surrounded by clouds and mist. Screech! In the sky above, 3 winged serpent eagles were majestic and had the power to suppress the mountains and rivers. On the serpent eagle in the middle, there was a woman wearing a mask. She was graceful and exuded an innate aura of elegance. "Senior Thief Rat, we're already here. Why are you still hiding?" The woman's indifferent voice did not contain the slightest hint of emotion. The pair of bright eyes behind the mask were like the stars and the moon. "Hee, the old man is here." Whoosh! Accompanied by a burst of strange laughter, the mysterious old man with small eyes directly flew out from a mountain stream below and hovered in the air, confronting the people on the wind-startled serpent eagles in front of him. "Hee, little girl, you're not bad. You chased this old man for 3 days and 3 nights, all the way from the Imperial City to here. If it was someone else, they would have long lost me. You're the only person who could follow me for 3 days without losing me. Senior Thief Rat, you flatter me," the masked woman replied calmly. "Senior Thief Rat, please return the thing you stole from our Imperial family. If you're willing to return it, we won't pursue this matter anymore. Your Highness, this person trespassed into the Imperial City. We can't let him off easily," the silver-masked man behind her called out. The woman slightly raised her hand, signaling him to stop talking. "Hee, little girl, you're young, but you're quite broad-minded. However, as long as it's in my hands, there's no way I'll return it," the old man said with a frivolous smile. "If that's the case, then forgive this junior for offending you." As soon as the woman's voice fell, the silver-masked man behind her waved his hand. In an instant, the winged serpent eagles that were circling on both sides let out a loud and clear cry. Then, they charged toward the old man from both sides. "Hee, these few good-for-nothings want to catch me?" Thief God laughed disdainfully. "Humph, don't look down on the Imperial family's dark elite team." A man wearing a red ghost mask shouted in a deep voice. "Good. Today, this old man will experience the abilities of the Sacred Star Empire's strongest elite team." In an instant, the 2 winged serpent eagles had already rushed to the left and right sides of Thief Rat. On the back of each eagle were 10 powerful experts. There were a total of 20 well-trained experts lined up in front of the snake serpent eagles. "Chain trap!" The man wearing the red ghost mask shouted loudly. Swoosh! In the next instant, more than a dozen iron chains extended endlessly, like iron chains crossing the river, and flew towards the Thief Rat's head. Under the control of the experts of the Imperial Dark Team, the chain that was over 100 meters long was as nimble as a flood dragon. There was not the slightest bit of chaos. More than a dozen chains quickly converged in the air and came crashing down on the Thief Rat's head. Walala, in the next second, Master Thief Rat was trapped in an iron cage that was several meters wide. "Hee, you want to trap this old man with this little trick?" The rat thief, godly thief, who was trapped in the iron cage, didn't show any signs of panic. Instead, he was talking cheerfully and wittily. "Humph, this is just the beginning," the man wearing the red ghost mask sneered. For the top experts of the void-piercing realm, even the royal family's dark elite team did not dare to have the slightest carelessness. Sand and stone rain. A surging and powerful aura erupted from the body of an expert from the royal family. The grayish-brown energy surged forward like a cloud of dust. "Who?" The grayish energy transformed into tiny grains of sand in the air. Each grain of sand was like a fine rain of flying needles, whizzing towards Thief Rat, godly thief in the iron cage. The countless grains of sand were like 10,000 arrows that pierced through the sky. The attack was dense and had a wide range. Bang, 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 one after another, muffled explosions sounded around Thief Rat, godly thief. "Hee, what kind of trick is this? Are you trying to tickle this old man?" The surrounding people were slightly shocked. They saw that godly thief's body was covered in a layer of faint golden light. The sand and stone rain attack was like hitting an iron plate, without the slightest penetrating force. Don't celebrate too early. The man wearing the red ghost mask gave another command. Waterfall, boom! In an instant, the other experts of the Royal Secret Squad burst out with the power of water. Several powerful torrents of water gushed out and attacked the godly thief in front of them. Bang! The torrents from all directions swept down and instantly submerged godly thief. Between the heaven and earth, there was a splash of water. The sky was full of rainwater, wantonly splashing. The astonishing power fluctuations caused the sky to faintly tremble. Soul-sealing wall, several of the royal family's secret teams made their moves at the same time. Dazzling multicolored quintessential energy surged forward. Under the control of everyone's combined strength, the rain that filled the sky quickly mixed with the sand and soil, forming 4 stone walls that were over 100 meters tall. The 4 huge earth walls surrounded godly thief in 4 directions. The iron chains penetrated through the earth walls and connected to the iron cage inside. Such a grand scene was like a prison suspended in the air between the heavens and the earth. Burning heaven, raging flame! The man wearing the red ghost mask shouted loudly. His voice was full of excitement. In the next moment, the last group of experts of the Imperial Dark Team erupted with an incomparably powerful aura. Everyone released the power of true Yuan, and in an instant, it turned into a raging flame. Buzz! More than a dozen violent flames directly followed the iron chains and quickly extended towards the earth walls in front of them. Looking from afar, a dozen fire dragons suddenly appeared in the void, exceptionally dazzling. What was even more shocking was that the domineering flames directly followed the iron chains and merged into the inner area of the earth walls. In an instant, all the power poured into the space inside the 4 earth walls. Explode! Boom! In the next second, a mushroom cloud of flames rose into the sky from the inside of the 4 earth walls. The violent power was like a monstrous volcano erupting in an instant. The heaven and earth quietly changed color, and hot waves of air spread in all directions. Such a huge power fluctuation was probably enough to burn everything inside the earth walls to ashes. Many monsters in the mountain range below were startled and ran away. In the distance, flocks of birds fled in panic. The encirclement of the experts of the Imperial Dark Team was really frightening. Humph, Senior Thief Rat, are you all right? The man wearing the red ghost mask frivolously sneered. Just now, under the joint attack of everyone, even a void-piercing realm expert would not be able to come out unscathed. Hee, is that all you've got? You didn't even hurt a hair of this old man. Boring, really boring. A playful laughter came from the inside of the huge stone wall. The members of the Imperial Dark Team were shocked. Chapter 123. Buzz, majestic and mighty energy fluctuations constantly stirred up the airflow in all directions in the sky. The space cage formed by the 400-meter-tall stone walls was like a 4-sided castle suspended between heaven and earth. More than 20 black iron chains stretched across the sky, connecting to the earth cage. Towering flames erupted from the inner space like lava from a volcano. The sky quietly changed color, and incomparably hot waves of flame almost blasted a hole in the sky. Hee, is that all you've got? You didn't even hurt a single hair on this old man's head. Boring, really boring. A playful laughter came from the inside of the stone wall. All the experts of the Imperial family's Dark Team secretly changed their expressions and frowned. This godly thief was really powerful. Such a powerful and continuous attack didn't even cause the slightest bit of damage to the other party? Come. Use whatever skills you have. Let this old man exercise a little. This old man. The experts of the Dark Team on the Third Wind Serpent Eagle all released a biting cold aura. The man wearing the silver mask walked to the back of the elegant woman and said, "Your Highness?" The woman slightly waved her hand, and a faint light flashed in her bright eyes behind the mask. He is stalling for time. Prepare to set up the heavenly thunder bringer, yes, your highness. Swoosh. As soon as the voice fell, the woman stepped into the air. At the same time, a white light flashed, and a strange sword appeared in her hand. The sword was surrounded by a bright silver light, and the sword hilt and blade were connected in a spiral shape. Senior Thief Rat, be careful! The woman let out a soft shout, and an astonishing sword aura was released from her body. Endless silver light rapidly extended towards the sword in her hand like vines. The woman moved her wrist and raised her sword. The space violently trembled, and a 300-meter-long sky-severing sword light slashed upwards towards the earthen prison formed by the 4 earthen walls in front of her. Boom! The powerful sword aura had an extremely destructive aura. The sword shocked the heavens, and the huge earth wall cage was directly split in the middle by the woman's sword. Along with the violent turbulence, Thief Rat Godly Thief flew out amidst the chaotic shockwaves caused by the flying rocks and crisscrossing sword lights. Hee, why are you in such a hurry, little girl? This old man still wants to have some fun with your so-called Dark Elite squad. The Rat Thief, Godly Thief, stroked a wisp of beard on his chin. His peanut-sized eyes were filled with a sneaky smile. Senior Thief Rat's strength is extraordinary. I'm afraid that they can't fight against you. This little girl dares to ask for your guidance. The woman's figure was graceful and agile. She held her sword and attacked Thief Rat Godly Thief. The dazzling sword shadows interweaved in the air to form a sword net that was more than 10 meters wide, attacking toward the Thief Rat God. The latter raised his white eyebrows slightly, and there was a hint of praise in his eyes. Hee, the little girl from the Huangfu family is really talented. Then, Thief Rat Godly flicked his finger, and a wisp of golden light shot out and collided head-on with the net of swords. Bang! The golden light and the net of swords intersected, and suddenly, a series of loud noises rang out in the air. Then, the golden light's offensive power surged, and along with a violent vibration, it directly broke through the net of swords. Whoosh! The golden light's offensive power did not diminish, and it dragged out a powerful wave of air in the air, directly attacking the graceful woman. The woman was not in a hurry. Her jade-like hand lightly moved, and the sword in her palm set off a layer of bright silver light. The silver light was dazzling, like the moon's essence sprinkled down from the 9th heaven, and the surrounding space faintly trembled. Ding! The sharp treasured sword met the golden light head-on. A circle of scattered quintessential energy blossomed like fireworks. The golden light bounced off, but the woman's palm felt slightly numb. Now, the woman could clearly see that the golden light was actually a flying shuttle. The 2 ends of the flying shuttle were sharp, and the middle was as thick as a rolling pin. It was about 30 centimeters long, and it was shining with golden light. It was exceptionally gorgeous. Hee, little girl, this golden flame flying shuttle of mine is a good spiritual weapon. It's probably a bit more advanced than the sword in your hand. You have to be careful. The Rat Thief tore apart the net of swords, and flashed in front of the woman. Then, he stretched out his hand and held the golden flame flying shuttle in his palm. Thank you for the reminder, Senior Thief. This junior will be careful. The woman's bright eyes behind the mask did not have the slightest bit of fear, and the sword that was surrounded by silver light once again attacked the Rat Thief. The Rat Thief held the golden shuttle in his hand, and began a fierce confrontation with the opponent. When the woman and the Rat Thief began to fight, the other experts of the Royal Dark Team had already retreated to the rear area on their winged snake eagles. However, they did not stand at the back and watch, but stood in a row, and under the guidance of the man wearing the silver mask, each of them formed a strange seal with their hands, and constantly condensed a huge amount of true yuan. A strong wind blew past, and there was a kind of bone-chilling cold. An obscure energy fluctuation was gradually set off in the void. This energy fluctuation was just like the underground magma that was brewing. Next, a volcano would erupt at any time. At this moment, in the deep and gloomy cave, the impact of the battle in the sky outside constantly caused the mountain to tremble. Chu Hen was shocked and confused. What was going on? The top experts of the void-piercing realm were fighting. Chu Hen had a feeling that he had fallen into a huge conspiracy, and that he had most likely been tricked by the old man. What to do? Should he do as the other party said? Chu Hen looked down at the golden book and ink scroll on the ground. However, if he did so, Chu Hen really did not know what kind of consequences it would bring to him. Should he just leave? If he just left now, what if the mysterious old man found him in a few days? At that time, if he could not take out a copy of the copy for him, who knew what the other party would do? After a short moment of hesitation, Chu Hen slowly picked up the golden book from the ground. This golden book was made of an unknown material, and it felt very comfortable to the touch. However, what surprised Chu Hen was that the golden book could not be opened. Damn, what the hell is this? Chu Hen was startled. This golden book was tightly closed, as if there was a layer of glue stuck in the middle. No matter how hard he tried, he could not open it. It was as if it had been sealed. Is there a restriction? Chu Hen muttered to himself. There were many experts in the world who, in order to prevent their personal belongings from being spied on by others, would use special methods to arrange restrictions on them. If he wanted to open this golden book, he would first have to break this layer of restriction. Then, Chu Hen separated a wisp of qi and injected it into the golden book. In the next moment, he suddenly felt an invisible resistance blocking his exploration. Feeling the resistance that was as if he had hit an iron plate, Chu Hen's face could not help but reveal a helpless bitter smile. Damn, smelly old man, you can't blame me for this. In this case, perhaps the mysterious old man did not know that there was a restriction on this golden book, or perhaps he did not have time to study it at all before the pursuers caught up. Chu Hen had already understood the other party's purpose. The other party wanted him to copy the copy and take it away from here. He himself would delay outside, and after Chu Hen left, he would tell the pursuers that the golden book was hidden in this cave. After getting the golden book back, the pursuers would most likely not continue to make things difficult for the old man. After the trouble here was over, the old man would find Chu Hen and ask for the copy back. This plan could not be said to be bad, but the old man had made a mistake. He had forgotten that there was a restriction on such an important thing, and with Chu Hen's strength, it seemed that he could not break this restriction. Don't blame me. It just so happened that Chu Hen did not want to get involved in this matter, so he immediately threw the golden book on the ground and was ready to leave. But just as he took 2 steps, Chu Hen suddenly turned his head back. His somewhat perplexed gaze once again landed on the golden book. Damn, my curiosity is piqued. What's inside? Thinking that the old man outside would definitely try to delay as much time as possible, there should be some martial art. Immediately, Chu Hen picked up the golden book again. This time, the qi that was released was demonic purple. The bloodline power of the holy demonic eye body merged with the qi, and began to attack the restriction on the golden book. Buzz, a faint golden light appeared on the surface of the golden book. The light was like the holy light of the 9 heavens, strong and holy. Chu Hen could clearly feel that the restriction on the golden book had loosened a little, but there were still no signs of it breaking. After all, he was only at the 6th rank of the Tongyuan realm, and was far from being able to release the power that the holy demonic eye body should have. Chaotic body! Chu Hen secretly shouted. Then, a domineering black light surged out. 2 different colors of power, one black and one purple, blended together and poured into the golden book. In an instant, an extremely restless energy fluctuation was startled from the inside of the golden book. The radiance that covered the surface of the golden book flickered between bright and dark, strong and weak. Chu Hen only felt that his power was currently filling up a ball of water. The ball of water was constantly expanding, as though it would explode at any time. "It's working!" Chu Hen was surprised and happy, and an even more powerful chi swept out. Buzz, the space trembled, and a violent wave of air swept up the sand and pebbles on the ground. The golden light on the golden book's surface collapsed and exploded, turning into golden light fragments that filled the sky and disappeared. "I did it!" Chu Hen was overjoyed, and at the same time, his forehead was covered with sweat. Just now, he had almost used up all the chi in his body. Casually wiping away the sweat on his forehead, Chu Hen opened the golden book carefully with a perturbed heart. In the next second, Chu Hen's pupils involuntarily shrunk. 4 swift and fierce characters were the first to enter his eyes. Holy Star Heavenly Book. Chapter 124. Sacred Star Heavenly Book. Looking at the words that appeared in front of him, Chu Hen felt as if there was thunder rumbling in his ears. Waves of uneasiness rose in his heart. Sacred Star? Sacred Star Dynasty. This was the most confidential item of the Sacred Star Dynasty's royal family. In an instant, Chu Hen had the urge to curse. That old man dared to take the item of the royal family. No wonder he was chased all the way here and was forced to ask for his help to copy the instance dungeon. What a scam! This is. Chu Hen, who had lived in the general's mansion since he was young, had occasionally heard Long Zhan mention that the royal family had collected many books and treasures, and the most mysterious book was the Sacred Star Heavenly Book. It was rumored that the Sacred Star Heavenly Book contained the Sacred Star Dynasty's biggest secret. What was this secret? Only the royal family knew about it. Thinking of this, Chu Hen clenched his fists tightly as a grave expression appeared on his face. He naturally knew what the royal family of the Sacred Star Dynasty meant. It was the highest authority in the dynasty. The wrath of the king would cause millions of corpses and blood to flow for thousands of miles. Now that the royal family was involved, this matter was no small matter. It was definitely not something that could be cleared up in a few words. If he was a normal person, he would only have one choice, and that was to hand the golden book to the royal family and cut ties with the old man. However, Chu Hen was unusually calm at this moment. He understood that based on the cautiousness of the royal family, as long as he opened the Sacred Star Heavenly Book, he would definitely have no chance of survival. Therefore, Chu Hen made a decision in an instant. He would not help anyone. "Humph, smelly old man, how can I let you do as you wish since you set me up?" A cold light flashed in Chu Hen's eyes. The other party had entrusted this matter to him without any regard for his life. He did not plan to help the old man copy the instance dungeon, nor would he take the initiative to hand the golden book to the royal family. However, Chu Hen had a bolder idea in his mind, which was to memorize the contents of the Sacred Star Heavenly Book. After all, there weren't many people in the Sacred Star Dynasty who could pry into the Sacred Star Heavenly Book. Now that this item was placed in front of Chu Hen, it would be a lie to say that he was not tempted. Since things had already come to this, they might as well go all the way. Immediately, Chu Hen flipped to the first page of the Heavenly Book without hesitation. It was also the only page. When he flipped to that page, Chu Hen couldn't help but be stunned. Paper? What was going on? There was only one golden page, and it was completely blank. Not to mention a single word, there wasn't even a trace of ink. Have I been tricked again? Are you kidding me? There's no reason. Chu Hen frowned. If this Sacred Star Heavenly Book was fake, why would the royal family chase him all the way from the imperial capital to here, and even dispatch a void-piercing realm top expert? Although Chu Hen didn't know the situation of the battle outside, the mysterious old man was definitely a void-piercing realm expert. Those who could fight against him were naturally people of the same level. In addition to the restrictions set in the Golden Book, the probability of this Sacred Star Heavenly Book being fake was not high. Chu Hen narrowed his eyes, and then a faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Demon Eye. Buzz. In the next moment, the bloodline power of the sacred Demon Eye physique was released once again. Chu Hen only felt a slight heat in his eyes, and then the pitch-black pupils instantly turned into a demonic purple. In the depths of the purple pupils, 2 tiny black dots faintly trembled. Immediately after, something amazing happened. The blank page of the sacred star heavenly book in front of Chu Hen actually underwent a strange change. Specks of golden light and shadows appeared in front of Chu Hen at a speed visible to the naked eye. Chu Hen was once again amazed. The power of the sacred physique was indeed heaven-defying. This kind of camouflage was ultimately useless in front of his pair of demon eyes. Buzz, an obscure power fluctuation was constantly released from the golden book, and Chu Hen's heartbeat began to accelerate unconsciously. The most secret of the sacred star dynasty, what kind of secret was hidden in it? In just a few blinks of the eye, the golden book blossomed with a soft brilliance. In front of Chu Hen was a strange starry sky pattern, and in Chu Hen's mind, a vast and endless scene of the Milky Way appeared involuntarily. Densely packed stars decorated the night sky, shining with an everlasting brilliance. And in the starry sky, 7 stars arranged in the shape of a doe were the most dazzling. This is? Chu Hen's pupils shrank slightly, and his heart was filled with deep astonishment and astonishment. Outside the cave, above the void. Boom! Stealing Rat God and the elegant woman had already exchanged more than 100 moves, but neither of them could do anything to the other. In the sky above the mountain range, sparks were flying everywhere, and true elemental energy was wantonly overflowing. The sharp sword chi and the bright golden light were constantly colliding, and the world quietly lost its color. Hee, little girl, this old man hasn't had such a good fight for a long time. It's really delightful. Stealing Rat God moved his palm, and the golden flame flying shuttle in his hand suddenly burst out. In the process of moving, a circle of vigorous golden light lingered on the body of the shuttle, and at the same time, the shuttle changed into a dark red color, like a red-hot soldering iron. Old Senior, you can't escape today. It's better for you and me to exchange the item back. This way, it's better for both of us, the woman said faintly, and then slashed backhandedly with her sword. The powerful sword shadow was like a bolt of lightning that traversed the world. Bang! A layer of golden light rippled in the void, and the flying shuttle was directly sent flying by the long sword. Hee, how about this? Little girl, as long as you can defeat this old man, I'll return that thing to you. If you can't defeat me, then I'll borrow it for 3 days. What do you think? Stealing Rat God leaped up, and while taking back the golden flame flying shuttle, he flashed higher in the void. The eyes behind the woman's mask slightly narrowed. This little girl doesn't dare to use the imperial family's item as a gambling stake. However, Old Senior, if you insist on delaying, then don't blame this junior for offending you. Ha, what a good offending. I, Stealing Rat God, have roamed the 100 Kingdoms province for dozens of years, and not many people have dared to speak to me like this. Today, let me see what kind of ability you have, little girl. Boom! As soon as his voice fell, a huge aura surged like a tide from Stealing Rat God's body, and a dazzling golden light like the holy light of the noon sun soared into the sky. Stealing Rat God waved his hand, and the golden flame flying shuttle once again swept down gracefully. Boom! In the next moment, the golden flame flying shuttle blossomed with an incomparably dazzling golden light, and soon after, the entire sky was filled with countless golden flying shuttles. Tens of thousands of golden flying shuttles were like money sprinkling down from the sky, and their piercingly cold aura was like 10,000 arrows shooting at the same time. Each flying shuttle was extremely lethal. Chapter 125. Bzzz Thief Rat God threw out the golden flame flying shuttle. In the next instant, the golden flame flying shuttle blossomed with an incomparably dazzling golden radiance. The former's aura soared into the sky, and then the golden flame flying shuttle transformed into countless identical golden shuttles. The sky seemed to be raining gold coins. Thousands of shuttles blotted out the sky and swept towards the graceful and elegant woman. Through the mask, the woman's beautiful eyes were suffused with a faint cold light. Whoosh, the silver sword in her hand swallowed and emitted an astonishing bright luster. An astonishing sword aura rose. The woman's jade-like wrist moved, and an incomparably powerful sword aura rose from her body like a swimming dragon. The silver sword aura shook the sky in all directions. The woman's ink-like long hair fluttered in the wind, and her gorgeous robe fluttered in the wind. She used her sword to control her aura, showing off her peerless elegance. Along with the mighty rolling thunder, the sword aura that was like the Milky Way lingered around the woman's body, forming a silver sword energy tornado. She was in the middle of the whirlpool of sword chi, as if she was the master of this world. Boom! The flying shuttles that filled the sky poured down like a torrential storm. The dazzling specks of golden light continuously slammed against the sword chi vortex. The violent energy fluctuations caused the sky to tremble uneasily. Such a shocking scene was like a meteor shower meeting a tornado by chance. The aftermath of all kinds of power wantonly spilled out, the sky changed color, and the mountains below trembled uneasily. All the big and small demon beasts within a radius of a few dozen kilometers flew away in fright. The raging wind caused the airflow in this area to become abnormally uneasy. At this moment, the other experts of the royal family's dark team were about to complete the last step of their assigned mission. Every one of them was filled with a piercingly cold, murderous aura. The power fluctuations released from each of them caused the surrounding air to faintly produce the sound of waves, and the bleak cold wind became even stronger. Boom! The endless golden rain of light was unable to harm the woman at all. At this moment, a colorful light burst forth from her body. An aura that was several times more powerful than before filled the surroundings, causing the entire sky to darken. The resplendent light quickly gathered towards the woman's sword. In an instant, the silver sword turned into a rainbow color. It was as if it was made from the essence of the rainbow. Feeling the power of Zhen Yuan coming from the girl's body, the godly thief's face couldn't help but become a little dignified. He secretly thought that this little girl's strength was much stronger than he had imagined. Stealing Rat Godly's tiny eyes narrowed. His peripheral vision swept over the experts of the Imperial Dark Team, who were emitting a murderous aura. He muttered softly, "We can't continue to waste time like this. It's been so long. That brat should have left, Buzz." Immediately, a majestic aura erupted from Stealing Rat Godly Thief's body. A dazzling golden light shrouded the world like a scorching sun. A vast river of Zhen Yuan gathered above everyone's head. It blotted out the sky and covered the earth with its overwhelming power. Accompanied by the galloping sound of a magnificent army, a golden phantom that was more than 100 feet high suddenly appeared in the sky behind Stealing Rat Godly Thief. "What's that?" The experts of the Imperial Dark Team raised their heads and looked up. Behind their masks, their eyes were filled with a strong sense of solemnity. In the blink of an eye, the golden phantom behind Stealing Rat Godly Thief impressively took shape. In an instant, a huge golden rat phantom hovered between the heavens and the earth. This was a huge creature that looked similar to a weasel, but its fur was a bright golden color. Its wide mouth was slightly opened, revealing two large front teeth that were as sharp as a guillotine. Compared to the usual dark and weak feeling that rats gave people, this time was completely different. This golden rat phantom was impressively exuding a shocking power. Hey, little girl, you have to be careful." As soon as the voice fell, the huge golden rat phantom suddenly opened its mouth, and a golden beam of light pierced through the sky. With a shocking momentum, it rolled up a destructive aura and surged toward the graceful and luxurious woman in front of it. The entire sky shook uneasily. This golden beam of light was like the light of destruction cast by a god. It made people feel heartfelt fear. Buzz buzz. At this moment, the Zhen Yuan released by the woman also increased to its strongest state. The seven-colored light bloomed like a rainbow, and the woman swung her sword with all her strength. Screech, accompanied by a loud and clear phoenix cry, a dazzling seven-colored divine bird phantom rushed out from the surging rainbow light. The majestic aura that looked down upon all living things caused the earth to tremble, and the flow of air in the area of dozens of miles became abnormally chaotic. Huh! The thief-rat godly thief couldn't help but narrow his eyes and nodded with a bit of admiration. No wonder this girl has such strength at such a young age. This should be the so-called spirit phoenix profound body. The seven-colored divine bird flashed its gorgeous wings and soared up, facing the golden beam of light that the golden rat spat out. Screech, a second before the two were about to meet, the seven-colored divine bird instantly turned into a dazzling sword shadow that was as bright as a rainbow bridge. The endless chilling aura shocked all directions. Boom! The extremely destructive golden beam of light firmly intersected with the graceful seven-colored sword shadow, and the entire sky fell into a violent turbulence. The full blow of the two powerhouses of the void-piercing realm was like two meteorites that came from the sky unexpectedly met. Layers of powerful aftershocks were like shocking waves on the surface of the water, constantly spreading in all directions. The surrounding experts of the royal family's dark team were incomparably mobilized, the true essence in their bodies to resist. The forest and mountain range below seemed to have been swept away. Several mountain tops were flattened, and countless trees were shattered into dust. Rumble! Chu-Hen, who was still in the cave, even the whole mountain under his feet was shaking, but Chu-Hen seemed to be unaware of it. The demonic purple pupils stared motionlessly at the sacred star heavenly book in front of him. The golden book was dotted with densely packed star patterns, and the most resplendent and beautiful was the Big Dipper in the dough form. Boom! Suddenly, an incomparably dazzling light burst out from the sacred star heavenly book. Chu-Hen subconsciously raised his left hand to cover his eyes. Then, Chu-Hen felt a slight tingling in his palm. He quickly looked at his left hand and couldn't help but be stunned. He saw that there were 7 golden light spots in the palm of his left hand. These 7 light spots were in the dough form shape. What's going on? Chu-Hen looked at the 7 light spots in his palm with a dumbfounded expression. Then, he looked at the sacred star heavenly book that was gradually fading. Countless questions immediately arose in his mind. What was the sacred star heavenly book talking about? What secrets did it contain? Chu-Hen felt like his brain was a mess. Damn, it's indeed the biggest secret of the sacred star dynasty. Ordinary people really can't understand it. Following that, the 7 dots of light in Chu-Hen's palm also disappeared. Everything seemed to have returned to its original point, as if nothing had happened. Rumble! Just as Chu-Hen was in a state of confusion, the violent shaking of the mountain caused him to suddenly come back to his senses. I almost forgot that I'm still in danger. Chu-Hen slapped his forehead. Only now did he realize that the trouble outside was something he couldn't solve. He definitely couldn't have the sacred star heavenly book anymore. After searching for a long time, he still hadn't discovered anything. What a waste of time. Immediately, Chu-Hen closed the golden book. As soon as the golden book was closed, a faint ray of light emerged. Just like before, it was completely sealed, and it was difficult to separate. It seems like this restriction is activated on its own. Chu-Hen muttered to himself, then threw it on the ground. He casually put the ink, brush, paper, and inkstone into his storage ring. These were all evidence, and he absolutely couldn't leave any traces behind. Then, without hesitation, Chu-Hen turned around and ran toward the exit of the cave. Rumble! The confrontation of the power of the void-piercing realm experts set off a violent thunderstorm. The thief-rat and the elegant woman looked at each other from afar. The aura of the top experts was like 2 mountains, suppressing all directions. Your Highness! At this moment, the man wearing the silver mask shouted in surprise. The woman glanced sideways and nodded in approval. Seeing the woman nod, the surrounding experts of the Royal Dark Team understood tacitly. They clasped their hands together and completed the last seal. Ninth heaven thunder, overturn the river. Heavenly thunder, draw. The man wearing the silver mask shouted in a stern voice. In the next moment, every expert of the dark team set off a pillar of light that soared into the sky. More than 20 solid pillars of light leaped into the clouds like auroras. Rumble. What followed was the deafening sound of rolling thunder. The surging black clouds instantly gathered in the sky within a radius of a few miles. The violent turbulence was like the undercurrent of black water. Streaks of lightning crisscrossed, like silver snakes stirring up clouds and rain. The mighty pressure was like the galloping of 10,000 horses, or the attack of 1,000 troops. The majestic power directly enveloped the thief rat, and the latter's face became slightly dignified. Little girl, you're playing this big? You're bullying an old man. Senior thief rat, I've already treated you with courtesy. You're the one who stubbornly insisted on doing things your own way. You can't blame me. The woman replied indifferently. Alright. Let me see how powerful this so-called heavenly thunder summoning is. Quang dang, before the voice died away, the intertwining thunder and lightning almost shattered the sky. All the experts of the Royal Dark Team formed a seal at the same time. In an instant, the ninth heaven thunder moved, and the wind suddenly rose. Chapter 126. Quang dang. The violent sound of intersecting thunder seemed as if it was going to break the vault of heaven. Together with the experts of the Imperial Dark Team, they simultaneously formed a seal. Thunder from the 9 heavens, and the wind suddenly rose. In an instant, a heavenly thunder with a diameter of more than 50 meters directly pierced down from the rolling dark cloud. With a momentum that could destroy mountains and rivers, it rolled up a terrifying destructive momentum and blasted towards the thief rat. Although this violent power was not enough to kill the thief rat on the spot, it was not a problem to seriously injure him. Of course, this was also the goal of the Imperial family's secret team. After all, they wanted to take back the thing that was stolen by the thief rat. They could not just kill him like this. Facing this extremely dangerous attack, the thief rat godly thief's small eyes surged with unprecedented solemnity. Buzz, the space suddenly trembled, and a golden wheel suddenly appeared in the thief rat's palm. The golden wheel was like a hand shield, but also like a sun hat. The golden light that burst out was as dazzling as the sun. Is that the solitary sun shield? The man wearing the silver mask shouted with some uncertainty. The solitary sun shield was ranked 39th on the spiritual weapon list. It was a defensive spiritual weapon. Even in the Sacred Star Dynasty, it was a treasure that people fought over. Any treasure that could be ranked on the divine weapon list was definitely not an ordinary item. This old man really has a lot of treasures. He must have stolen them from someone again. The experts of the Imperial family's dark team thought to themselves. The elegant woman unconsciously grasped the silver sword in her hand, and the sharp sword energy once again rose up. Before everyone could recover from the shock, the thief rat directly raised the solitary sun shield in front of him, and a rich true yuan was injected into the shield. In the next moment, the solitary sun shield shone brightly, and the dazzling golden light rapidly rotated like a whirlpool. The spiritual energy between the heavens and the earth, along with the solitary sun shield, wantonly stirred. In an instant, a huge golden shield that was 100 meters wide immediately blocked the head of the thief rat. Boom! Almost at the same moment, the terrifying power of the heavenly thunder fell with a shocking momentum, landing on the huge golden shield at the critical moment. The space within a dozen miles couldn't help but tremble, and an incomparably dazzling lightning bloomed in the sky. Because the thief rat's reaction time was too rushed, and the speed of the heavenly thunder was too fast, the solitary sun shield did not completely release its defensive power. Bang! Accompanied by a thunderous explosion, the 100-meter light shield condensed by the solitary sun shield was forcibly blasted apart by the heavenly thunder. The destructive aura filled the sky and shook the sky. Even though the defensive power of the sun's shield was unable to block the heavenly lightning bringer in a short period of time, it unexpectedly changed the trajectory of its attack. Under the shocked gazes of all the experts of the Imperial family's dark team, the heavenly lightning passed right in front of Thief Rat Godly and blasted towards a mountain below. Not good. The Thief Rat was suddenly startled. Impressively, that mountain was the mountain where Chu Hen was in the cave. However, it quickly calmed down. After such a long time, Chu Hen should have already left. However, in reality, Chu Hen had only just left the entrance of the cave. Just when he was thinking of finding a vine to swing into the river below the mountain, the rolling heavenly thunder came crashing down like a herd of 10,000 beasts. Under the suppression of the incomparably biting cold wind, Chu Hen's heart was greatly alarmed. Before he could even react to what had happened, the mountain peak behind him was instantly flattened. "Damn you!" Chu Hen couldn't help but directly burst out with vulgarities. Boom! A violent shock wave instantly swept in all directions. The might of the heavenly thunder was unstoppable, and the entire mountain was blasted into ruins in an instant. The mighty aftermath of the explosion sent thousands of rocks flying. Together with the rocks, Chu Hen was blasted away. "What's that?" The man wearing the silver mask looked at Chu Hen, who was rolling around in the rubble, in surprise. The rat thief Godly Thief couldn't help but secretly curse. This little rascal's efficiency is too low. Such a good opportunity was wasted just like that. The aftermath of the heavenly thunder's power was no small matter. Chu Hen's internal organs were shaken by the impact, and he spurted out a mouthful of blood. However, the royal family's dark team had no intention of meddling in their business. After all, Chu Hen's identity had already been exposed. Regardless of whether Chu Hen had obtained the Sacred Star Heavenly Book or not, it was impossible for him to successfully hand it over to him. Even if he managed to save Chu Hen, the rat thief would not be able to keep him by his side. In the end, he would still be hunted by the royal family. Therefore, no matter what happened to Chu Hen, he would not be able to escape death. However, at this moment, something unexpected happened. The graceful and luxurious woman moved, leaving a series of afterimages in the void. She flew downwards at an extremely fast speed. "Your Highness!" The man wearing the silver mask shouted. "Stop the rat thief Godly Thief!" The woman replied coldly, but the pair of bright eyes behind the mask were full of complex emotions as she looked at the embarrassed young man in the rubble below. Chu Hen's body was already injured, and now that he had suffered such an unforeseen event, he felt as if all the bones in his body were about to fall apart. Bang! Suddenly, a powerful palm energy surged, and the rubble around Chu Hen was blasted away. Then, a faint fragrance assailed his nostrils. Chu Hen suddenly felt that his back was supported by a warm, jade-like arm. At the same time, a gentle palm energy surged into his body, directly eliminating the impact of the heavenly thunder's aftermath. It was like a dream, real and fake. Chu Hen only felt that the world was spinning, and everything in front of him was a little distorted. Then, a small cat mask was reflected in Chu Hen's eyes. Behind the mask, there was a pair of clear and attractive big eyes. This pair of eyes seemed familiar, especially familiar. Xia Qing, the two words weakly spat out from Chu Hen's mouth. The eyes behind the mask faintly trembled and were suffused with shallow ripples of gentleness. The opponent actually recognized me at a glance? Then, the serious injury made Chu Hen's vision black, and he suddenly fell into a coma. At the same time, the experts of the Royal Dark Team once again besieged the rat thief Godly Thief. Hee, no more fighting, no more fighting. The rat thief Godly Thief squinted his small eyes with a faint light. He pointed to the mountain below that had been blasted into ruins and said, "The thing you want, I hid it in that mountain. You can take your time to find it." Ha ha ha. What? Everyone was incomparably shocked. Hee, this old man is leaving. Goodbye. Chapter 127. The thing you want is hidden in that mountain. Take your time to find it. Ha 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 ha. What? Hee, this old man is leaving. Goodbye. As soon as he finished speaking, Thief Rat God turned into a ray of light and disappeared into the horizon. The experts of the royal family's dark team looked at each other, not knowing whether they should chase after him or not. The woman with a graceful and luxurious temperament held Chu Hen in her hand with one hand. The pair of bright eyes behind the mask looked at the Thief Rat God, who disappeared into the horizon, with a bit of seriousness. Then, she lowered her head to look at Chu Hen beside her. Her solemn eyes couldn't help but ripple. In the afternoon, it was almost evening. The sunset clouds in the west were exceptionally gorgeous. The beautiful burning clouds dyed half the sky red. At the peak of a mountain, Chu Hen was lying on a rock. He was still unconscious, but his breathing was much steadier. His handsome face was slightly pale. Not far away, a graceful and beautiful figure stood quietly on the edge of a cliff. Her ink-like hair fluttered in the wind. Although she was wearing a mask, it couldn't hide her refined beauty. "Your Highness, the sacred star heavenly book has been found," an excited voice was heard. The silver-masked man led more than 20 experts of the royal family's dark team to the woman. The woman was holding a golden book that was surrounded by a soft light. After searching for nearly a day, he finally found it from the pile of rock. The experts were all covered in dust. They looked as if they had just climbed out of a pile of dirt. The woman nodded and said calmly, "The mission is over." "But Your Highness." The silver-masked man changed the topic. He looked at Chu Hen and said, "Don't you think it strange that this person appeared here?" "What are you trying to say?" The woman replied calmly, "Your Highness, according to this subordinate's guess, this person must be in cahoots with Thief Rat God. Thief Rat God is stalling for time outside, so this person intends to memorize the copy of the sacred star heavenly book, so..." The man's sharp eyes behind the mask flashed with killing intent. "I've already checked his storage ring. There's nothing suspicious. Your Highness, it's not necessary to use pen and paper to record things down. Some people are born with a photographic memory. Before we came here, Her Divine Majesty had already issued a clear order to kill anyone who has read the sacred star heavenly tome. Kill without mercy." These 3 words were especially cold, as sharp as a bone-piercing knife. The woman's eyes softened, but her voice remained calm. "There's a restriction on the sacred star heavenly book. He won't be able to open it with his strength. There are no absolutes in this world. Your Highness, please reconsider. I've already said that with his strength, he won't be able to read the contents of the heavenly book. How many times do you want me to repeat myself? Your Highness, please calm down." Sensing the coldness in the woman's tone, the silver-masked man immediately knelt on one knee. "Your Highness, I was only thinking of the bigger picture. I didn't mean to offend Your Highness. Please forgive me, Your Highness." The coldness in the woman's eyes eased. She said coldly, "Take the sacred star heavenly book back to the imperial capital. I'll take care of the matters here. If he really read the contents of the heavenly book, I'll kill him." "Yes, Your Highness." Seeing that the woman was angry, the silver-masked man didn't dare to continue angering her. He immediately left with the experts of the dark team. Screech, a loud and clear eagle cry resounded through the 9 heavens. 3 winged serpent eagles flew into the sky in a triangular formation. Not long after, they carried the experts of the royal family's dark team and disappeared into the void. The sun was setting, and the evening mountain breeze was slightly chilly. After an unknown amount of time, Chu Hen slowly opened his eyes. The pain transmitted from his body caused him to wrinkle his eyebrows. "Where is this?" After a moment of confusion, the memories from before he fainted rushed into his mind. "Xia Qing." Chu Hen's gaze shifted to the gorgeous figure standing at the edge of the cliff not far away. The latter turned around, raised his fair and slender right hand, and took off the mask on his face. In an instant, an elegant and refined face was exposed to the air. The exquisite face was so familiar, and the noble temperament was innate. It's really you. A relaxed smile appeared on Chu Hen's face. Xia Qing, the woman who fought with the Beast King Ice Moon Demon Wolf in the Boneless Mountain Range. Later on, she accidentally met Chu Hen. Although the two of them had only been together for a few days, it could be said that they had gone through life and death together. Being able to meet an acquaintance here, Chu Hen couldn't help but feel an indescribable surprise. Xia Qing also smiled faintly. Her bright eyes were beautiful and moving. "What are you doing here? What are you doing here?" The same words came out of their mouths almost at the same time. The two of them were stunned at first, but they couldn't help but smile at each other. "I'm here to catch the thief rat god," Xia Qing answered first. "The thief rat god?" Chu Hen was slightly stunned. Then he raised his eyebrows and said, "That damn old man?" Hearing this, Xia Qing couldn't help but frown slightly. Her expression also became solemn. "Do you know him?" "Only a ghost knows him. Bastard, he brought me here for no reason. I was almost killed by him." "Then why did he bring you here?" Chu Hen was slightly shocked. How should he answer this? Now it seemed that the person who was chasing the old man was most likely Xia Qing. If that was the case, then wasn't Xia Qing someone sent by the Sacred Star Dynasty's royal family? If the other party knew that he was related to the Sacred Star Heavenly Book, what would the consequences be? "What's wrong?" Xia Qing saw that Chu Hen didn't speak, so she asked. "Nothing." Chu Hen shook his head, then replied somewhat helplessly. "That damned old man brought me here, and told me to record the things in some golden book." "Then did you record it?" "No, that golden book couldn't be opened at all. Later, I sensed that there were experts fighting outside, so I didn't dare to stay any longer. As soon as I got out of the cave, the mountain behind me was flattened. Fortunately, I met you." Chu Hen's words were 70% true and 30% false. Although he trusted Xia Qing, he had to hide the fact that he had opened the Sacred Star Heavenly Book. After all, this matter was related to the Sacred Star Dynasty's royal family's secret. Chu Hen had no choice but to do so. Xia Qing didn't say anything. She just looked at him quietly with her soft eyes. Chu Hen couldn't help but feel a little uncomfortable. He pretended to be calm and asked, "Why are you looking at me like that?" "I don't know." Xia Qing's answer made Chu Hen even more confused. "Don't know? What did that mean?" "If it was someone else, I believe that they wouldn't be able to open that golden book. But that person is you. I feel that something is not right." It had to be said that a woman's sixth sense was frighteningly accurate. Of course, Xia Qing's suspicion wasn't without reason. Back in the Boneless Mountain Range, Chu Hen was able to survive the two kinds of Beast King's power, the blood of the blood-hunting dragon and the Ice Moon Demon Wolf's spiritual origin liquid. This was enough to show that Chu Hen was extraordinary. To be honest, Xia Qing really thought that Chu Hen had opened the Sacred Star Heavenly Book. Chu Hen's gaze was a little unnatural. He hadn't known her for long. Why did he feel that he couldn't hide anything from her? "Forget it, let's leave it at that," Xia Qing said. Chu Hen was stunned again. He asked tentatively, You wouldn't rather kill the wrong person than let him go?" "If I wanted to kill you, would you still be able to wake up?" Hearing that Xia Qing's tone carried a hint of joking, Chu Hen's heart that was hanging in the air finally calmed down. It seemed like his little life could be saved. "Whether you've read the Sacred Star Heavenly Book or not, you can't mention this to anyone," Xia Qing said seriously. "Sacred Star Heavenly Book? What's that?" Chu Hen asked with a puzzled face. Xia Qing couldn't help but find it funny. This guy really knew how to play dumb. Chu Hen also smiled. He then stood up from the ground and said, "Oh right, you said that the old man was the rat thief god?" "Yes." Xia Qing nodded and opened her red lips. "This person's cultivation is extremely strong, and he appears and disappears unpredictably. I heard that he had committed several robberies in the surrounding dynasties and countries, and all of them were earth-shattering crimes. This time, no one would have thought that the thief-rat-thief god would steal from the sacred Star Dynasty's royal family. Xia Qing didn't continue speaking because she realized that the way Chu Hen looked at her was a little strange. "You're from the royal family?" Chu Hen asked. Xia Qing avoided Chu Hen's gaze and turned around. "Since you're fine, I don't have to stay here anymore." "Wait! What's wrong? When we were in the Boneless Mountains, you said that we would return to the capital together, but you left halfway. No matter what, you have to send me to St. Bell City this time. There are so many demonic beasts on the way. If I were to encounter any one of them, it would be my worst luck in 8 lifetimes, Chu Hen said. Xia Qing couldn't help but smile. There's no need for me to send you off. Someone is already looking for you. What? Chu Hen was startled. Before he could understand, he heard the slight sound of wind breaking in the mountain forest in front of him. Looking from afar, there was a figure in the forest that was currently heading in his direction. Mentor Shilan. Even though they were quite a distance away, Chu Hen could still determine that the other party was Shilan from her long purple hair. Will we meet again in the future? Chu Hen looked at Xia Qing, who was beside him. The latter's clear eyes were filled with smiles. She shook her head gently and raised her eyebrows. Maybe. Chapter 128. Mentor Shilan, who had been moving through the forest, was suddenly called to a halt by this voice. She stopped in her tracks and raised her beautiful eyes, only to see a handsome youth waving at her from atop a large boulder amidst the ruins. Seeing that Chu Hen was fine, Shilan heaved a sigh of relief. She moved her feet, and her figure flashed to his side like a butterfly. Mentor, how did you find this place? Chu Hen laughed heartily. Seeing that Chu Hen's clothes were messy, covered in dust and blood, Shilan couldn't help but frown. What happened? How did you get such serious injuries? I'm all so puzzled. That stinky old man brought me here for no reason. In the end, I was chased by a large group of people, so he threw me here. Fortunately, I was lucky. I was almost killed by the shockwaves created by their battle. Chu Hen answered gloomily. Shilan already knew that the people who rushed over were the royal family's dark elite team. She guessed that the old man who took Chu Hen away might have something to do with this matter. Now, it seemed that Chu Hen's injuries could be said to be a blessing in disguise. Mentor, it's great that you're here. I was worried that I couldn't find my way back. Chu Hen said with a smile, pretending to be casual. Looking at the gentle smile on Chu Hen's face, Shilan felt a little dazed. This young man in front of her looked a little like Shi Chen when he smiled. But soon, Shilan returned to normal. Her beautiful eyes wandered, and she said softly, "It's getting late, let's hurry back." Okay. Chu Hen nodded. Before leaving, he deliberately looked back at the peak of a mountain in the area behind them. At the peak of the mountain, a graceful and luxurious-looking figure stood beside the cliff. She quietly watched Chu Hen and Shilan, who were gradually disappearing into the distance, as the corners of her small and exquisite mouth rose slightly. Maybe we'll meet again soon. At night, the Tianqi Mountains were unusually rugged and difficult to walk, especially in the depths of the forest, where unknown dangers lurked everywhere. But with Shilan, the core mentor of Tensei Prefecture, by his side, Chu Hen wasn't worried that any danger could threaten him. As long as there wasn't a terrifying existence of the Beast King level, the two of them could handle it. Along the way, the two of them were silent. Even though there was communication, it was only Chu Hen speaking, and Shilan replying. In the end, Chu Hen didn't know what to ask, so he could only give up. An entire night quietly passed. When Chu Hen and Shilan returned to St. Bell City, it was already the morning of the second day. Seeing that the two of them returned safely, the mentors and students of Tensei Prefecture heaved a deep sigh of relief. F*CKU, I thought I wouldn't see you again. You made me cry the whole night. Mu Feng stepped forward and punched Chu Hen's chest. Chu Hen, who was injured, almost bled from the punch. F*CK, be gentler, Chu Hen scolded. Mu Feng, stop fooling around. Haozi quickly stopped him and laughed. You cried the whole night? I didn't see a single tear, okay? Junior sister Zhou Lu cried the whole night. What are you talking about? Rat, who cried? Zhou Lu glared with her big red eyes and retorted with extreme dissatisfaction. Senior sister Zhou Lu, your eyes betrayed you, Li Hui added. Shut up, did I allow you to speak? As soon as he came back, everyone quarreled endlessly. Chu Hen unconsciously felt a headache coming on. However, seeing everyone's concerned expression, Chu Hen sincerely felt warmth in his heart. Junior brother Chu Hen, the Mammoth Martial House and the Bright Moon Martial House also know what happened the night before. When we returned yesterday, Long Qingyang and Long Xuanshuang came by. They told me to inform them that you're safe when you return, Haozi said. Chu Hen nodded. I'll go in a bit. You're still injured. Just let little Li inform them, Zhou Lu said quickly. Why me again? You have a problem with that. Li Hui couldn't help but pout when he saw Zhou Lu glare at him, but he still nodded unwillingly. I'll go, all right? Mu Feng's beady eyes lit up. Little Li, you can go inform Long Qingyang. I'll inform Long Xuanshuang. You. Before he could finish his words, Mu Feng immediately disappeared with a so sound. The rest of the people broke out in a cold sweat, their foreheads full of black lines. Not far away, Shilan watched this scene with a faint smile in her eyes. At this time, Lei Zhen led a few local clansmen from St. Bell City over. Instructor Shilan, are you all right? Lei Zhen asked politely. Shilan nodded politely. Thank you for your concern, I'm fine. It's like this. Lei Zhen's gaze swept over all the instructors and students of the Heavenly Star Martial House. He then said, the teams from the other high-ranked martial houses have already arrived. The Patriarch has sent me to inform you that he would like to invite you to the meeting hall. The chief summoned me? As soon as Lei Zhen said this, the faces of everyone present couldn't help but surge with astonishment. Was St. Bell City finally going to inform them of their purpose? All right. Shilan didn't hesitate. Please lead the way. Under Lei Zhen's lead, Shilan followed him to the meeting hall of St. Bell City. The rest of the people began to wonder what would be waiting for them next. In less than a moment, Shilan arrived at an antique courtyard. Inside the courtyard was the most unique and luxurious building in the entire St. Bell City. Instructor Shilan, please come in. Under Lei Zhen's guidance, Shilan entered the meeting hall. As soon as she entered, Shilan discovered that there were several other instructors from the other academies in the hall. These instructors were all famous core instructors in the Imperial City. When everyone saw Shilan, they were equally surprised. One or two of them even had a hint of contempt in their eyes. So people from Tensei Prefecture also came here to join in the fun? The one who spoke was a middle-aged man with a gloomy face. From the instructor badge he wore, he belonged to the Thunder Martial House. However, his tone was full of sarcasm and exclusion. Instructor Chiu Tai, what do you mean by that? In terms of teaching ability, I'm afraid Instructor Shilan is miles ahead of you. Another middle-aged man with a calm aura seemed to be a little dissatisfied. Instructor Yushan, you don't have to stand up for her so quickly. I don't mean anything else, I'm just saying. Yushan was a core instructor of the Giant Elephant Martial House, as well as Long Qingyang's direct instructor. Everyone knew that Yushan was a person who acted swiftly and decisively, and was straightforward with his words. Of course, the main reason he spoke up for Shilan was because Shilan was the youngest among all the instructors present. To be honest, a 23-year-old girl was about the same age as the most senior disciples of the various academies. On top of that, Shilan's teaching ability was well known, so there were a few relatively older teachers who admired her quite a bit. It was not unusual for them to speak up for Shilan. However, Shilan's expression did not change in the slightest in response to everyone's different gazes. At this moment, her gaze was directly on the black-clothed woman sitting in the first seat on the left. The black-clothed woman was about 25 or 26 years old, and was the youngest instructor in the group apart from Shilan. Her cold and elegant face was filled with indifference as she sat there quietly, playing with a jade flute between her fair and slender fingers. "Instructor Shilan, why are you looking at me like that?" An indifferent voice sounded from the black-clothed woman's mouth. She turned around and met Shilan's gaze, but there was a hint of coldness in her nonchalant eyes. The people around them were slightly stunned. Even Yu Shan from the giant elephant martial house had a solemn expression on his face. Hong Lian was a core instructor of the Imperial Martial Academy. Whether it was her status, reputation, or teaching ability, she was definitely one of the best instructors in the entire Imperial City. Moreover, the most important thing was that she was also a high-grade inscription master. Not many people would dare to casually provoke a high-level pattern master. The power of a pattern master was reflected in her influence. It could be said that in the past few years, Imperial Martial Academy had firmly occupied the position of the head of the high-level martial houses, and the reason for this had a lot to do with instructor Honglian. "Nothing," Shilan replied indifferently before she casually sat down on an empty seat by the side. "Humph." Honglian smiled indifferently as a hint of coldness flashed in her eyes. Anyone could see that there was some kind of grudge between Honglian and Shilan that no one knew about. Naturally, this kind of matter was up to them, and they were too lazy to find out about it. Soon after, a series of light footsteps came from outside the door. There was even the dull sound of a walking stick hitting the stone tiles on the floor. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. Then, a staggering old man appeared in front of everyone. This was an old man with a haggard figure and a face full of wrinkles. His muddy eyes and emaciated figure gave others the feeling that he was a candle in the wind, a lamp that was about to run out of oil. Clan leader Lei Zhen and the people from St. Bell City knelt on one knee, showing their respect. Apart from Hong Lian, the other instructors from the martial house also stood up and cupped their fists together as a simple gesture. "Clan leader." The old man raised his hand and said, "There's no need to be so courteous. Please sit." At the same time, an invisible majestic pressure was released from his body. Chapter 129. You don't have to stand on ceremony. Please, take a seat. Sensing the aura emanating from the St. Bell City tribe chief, all the mentors in the Great Hall were secretly shocked. This old man who looked like he had one foot in the grave actually had an extremely high cultivation base. Even the Imperial Martial Academy's core mentor, Hong Lian, who was nonchalant earlier, had a hint of surprise on her face. Under everyone's gaze, the St. Bell City tribe leader staggered into the hall. Even a toddler who had just learned how to walk was faster than him. "I'm Lei Shi, the fifth-generation tribe leader of St. Bell City," the old man introduced himself. "May I know why tribe leader Lei Shi asked us to come here?" Li Gu, the mentor who led the team from Tifeng Province, asked directly. The other mentors also had a puzzled look on their faces. Tribe leader Lei Shi nodded and raised his right hand slightly, gesturing for everyone to sit down. "Don't worry, everyone. I'll have to start from the origin of our St. Bell City to explain the ins and outs of this matter. I hope you don't mind me being long-winded." "Haha, tribe leader Lei Shi, you must be joking. We also want to know everything about this matter." Yu Shan, the core mentor of the giant elephant martial palace, laughed heartily. "Thank you." Lei Shi smiled, revealing 2 rows of missing teeth from his shriveled lips. "The first founder of our St. Bell City was called Lei Huan. More than 200 years ago, ancestor Lei Huan grew tired of the conflicts and cruelty of the secular world. Therefore, he came to Stone Village, which only had a dozen families at that time. Initially, he only wanted to stay in Stone Village for a few days. I didn't expect Lei Huan to stay here for the rest of his life. The simplicity and passion of Stone Village's villagers attracted Lei Huan. Slowly, Lei Huan took root in Stone Village and married a girl with a pure heart. Then, he produced his own descendants. Since Stone Village was connected to the Heaven Lake mountain range, the villagers' main source of livelihood was hunting low-level beasts and farming. Lei Huan was powerful. Under his leadership, the lives of Stone Village's villagers became richer day by day. After that, Lei Huan even incorporated the residents of the other villages and tribes and built St. Bell City together. When it came to the history of St. Bell City, Lei Shi's old face couldn't help but be moved. His murky old eyes shone brightly. Yushan, Li Gu, and the other instructors nodded silently. To be able to build a city in the Tianqi mountain range, a place where demonic beasts gathered, was indeed a talent. Under the leadership of clan leader Lei Huan, our lives have become more and more prosperous, Lei Shi continued. In order to avoid being attacked by demonic beasts, Lei Huan began to teach the younger generation of the village martial arts. Other than martial arts, there's also the art of runes. Oh? Patriarch Lei Huan is also a pattern artist? A martial house instructor asked subconsciously. Lei Shi grinned. His eyes were filled with respect. Clan leader Lei Huan is not only an inscription master, but he's also a spiritual inscription master. What? Spiritual tattooist? Boom! Everyone was shocked when they heard that. Even Hong Lian, who had been unconcerned the entire time, could not help but frown slightly. Spiritual tattooist was the abbreviation of a spiritual level tattoo master. It was above a senior tattoo master, corresponding to Wu Xiu, who was in the void-piercing realm. Although the strength of a spiritual tattooist was equal to that of a void-piercing realm expert, their status was different. In many fields, such as setting up formations, refining elixirs, crafting weapons, and so on, the spiritual tattooist was the core leader. For example, the spiritual weapon that everyone yearned for could only be made by a crafting master at the level of a spiritual tattooist. The influence of a spiritual tattooist was absolutely terrifying. Even in the vast Saint Star dynasty, there was only one spiritual tattooist. This spiritual tattooist's status was almost unparalleled. Even the royal family, who held the highest power, had to be polite to him. Now, the old man in front of them said that the first clan leader of St. Bell City was a spiritual tattooist. Everyone was shocked, but more than that, they found it hard to believe. I know that everyone here must have some doubts, but you should have heard that in the past few years, there have been a few good spiritual tattooists from St. Bell City. Hearing this, everyone could not help but come to a realization. Indeed, in the past few decades, they had heard a lot of news about spiritual tattooists coming out of St. Bell City. However, most people just regarded it as a rumor and did not seriously investigate it. After all, St. Bell City was isolated from the outside world. In the eyes of the world, it was like a remote village. How could a spiritual tattooist be born in such a place? Now that they thought about it, those news were not all groundless. Clan leader Lei Shi, please continue. Yushan raised his hand slightly and said. Although the clan leader Lei Huan teaches the younger generation to practice martial arts, his main purpose is to protect the tribe and have the ability to protect themselves when they encounter demonic beasts. Therefore, the clan leader Lei Huan has repeatedly warned everyone not to leave the tribe. Although the outside world is colorful, under the prosperous surface, there are piles of bones buried. The reason why Lei Huan settled down in Stone Village was that he was tired of the deception and cruelty of the outside world. Therefore, he naturally did not want his descendants to explore the outside world. However, the young and arrogant juniors could not suppress their yearning for the outside world. In the colorful world, the prosperity would never end. What could the wind and rain do to the people? Finally, when the clan leader Lei Huan passed away, the yearning that had been suppressed in their hearts completely exploded. Many young people who had learned martial arts and runes left the village one after another. Before they left, they all said that they would come back in the future. However, in reality, No one who left St. Bell City came back. No one came back, Leisure muttered in a low voice. He repeated this sentence 3 times in a row. The old man looked a little lonely and sad. Lei Zhen and the others who were standing behind him also lowered their heads in silence. The mentors were also silent. They felt pity for St. Bell City, but they also understood a little. This ancient city was indeed very different from the capital city. I don't blame them. Everyone has the right to choose their own life. Leisure sighed softly and continued, however, they left the tribe after they had mastered their skills. The older generation also returned to the earth one after another. As a result, the children of the younger generation were unable to receive complete guidance. The inheritance that the Lei Huan clan leader had painstakingly passed down slowly formed a gap. Originally, the martial arts and spiritual tattoos were passed down from generation to generation. However, as the young geniuses left one by one, the link in the middle was destroyed. More than 200 years had passed. Today, there were only a few inscription masters in St. Bell City. Moreover, they were all self-taught low-level inscription masters. Since they had to rely on themselves to explore and cultivate, they did not dare to casually teach the next generation without knowing what was right or wrong. After listening to Leisure's story, everyone finally understood what had happened. St. Bell City had been glorious for 100 years. From its heyday to its current decline, it was really a pity. So, what is the purpose of asking us to come here, clan leader Leisure? Li Gu nodded slightly and asked. The purpose of asking all of you here is very simple. I want to discuss a condition with all of you here. Everyone had a surprised look on their faces. Before the Lei Huan clan leader passed away, he left behind a treasure. This treasure is called the Illusory Spirit Bell. The Illusory Spirit Bell contains an extremely shocking power. Whenever the Illusory Spirit Bell is activated, you can communicate with the spirit of the bell and obtain great power from it. If you're lucky, there's a small chance that you'll be able to open your Naiwan Palace and condense a Dao seed. What? After listening to Lei Huan's words, the instructors could no longer maintain their composure. Even Shilan, who had remained silent this entire time, couldn't help but feel a slight ripple in her eyes. Opening the Naiwan Palace and condensing a Dao seed. This was the entry level of an inscription master. If a high-ranked martial house managed to cultivate 2 or 3 inscription masters, it would definitely be a big event that would shake the entire Saint Star dynasty. Naturally, Leisure had also said that if you were lucky, there was a high chance that you would succeed. First of all, if you were lucky, and the probability was extremely small, it was enough to show how difficult it was to become an inscription master. To be honest, this old man doesn't believe that any of the students you brought this time can achieve that step. However, the illusionary spirit bell contains many martial arts and secret techniques passed down by our ancestors. I believe that these martial arts and secret techniques are extremely precious ancient books in the major martial houses. Leisure said calmly. The instructors could not help but look at each other. Everyone's curiosity was piqued. Yushan took a step forward and said, "May I know what clan leader wants us to offer in exchange?" It's very simple. As long as the various martial houses allow the younger generation of St. Bell City to practice martial arts, the power of the illusory spirit bell will be shared with your students. Oh! The crowd was even more surprised. The younger generation of St. Bell City wanted to enter the various high-ranked martial houses in the imperial capital? Wasn't this contradictory? Just now, he said that Lei Huan did not want his descendants to leave this place. Now, he took the initiative to propose to enter the high-ranked martial houses in the imperial capital. It really did not make sense. Leisure saw the crowd's doubt and replied helplessly, "I'm doing this because I have no other choice." Previously, when those people left, St. Bell City has already lost its core strength. If this continues, St. Bell City will only become weaker and weaker. One day, it will be destroyed. Chapter 130. After listening to Holy Bell City's patriarch Lei Shi's explanation, the instructors from the various martial houses finally understood the cause and effect of the matter. The first patriarch Lei Huan left behind a treasure called the illusionary spirit bell. This illusionary spirit bell contained quite a bit of power. Lei Shi used this power as a condition to allow the younger generation of his tribe to enter a high-ranked martial house in the capital to receive formal cultivation guidance. This was indeed a last resort. After all, if it continued like this, St. Bell City would one day be reduced to ordinary hunters. Although the Phantom Bell contained the power and inheritance left behind by Lei Huan, it was difficult to tap into the power it should have without the guidance of a professional. The role of a good teacher was to ensure that the younger generation would not take the wrong path. If they learned by themselves, they would have to explore by themselves, which would waste a lot of time and might even deviate from the right path. The instructors present were all core instructors of the high-ranked martial houses. The power of the core instructors was relatively broad, and they could make many decisions on behalf of the higher-ups of the martial houses. For example, recruiting additional students from outside. May I know which martial house the younger generation of your clan wishes to enter? Yushan of the Mammoth Martial House spoke, which meant that he was very interested in the so-called Phantom Bell. If his direct disciples could obtain the power of spiritual tattooist Lei Huan from the Phantom Bell, it would be beneficial to Yushan and even the entire Mammoth Martial House. Lei Shi's cloudy eyes swept over the nearly 10 instructors on both sides of the hall. This time, he didn't invite all the high-ranked martial houses in the capital, but invited the teams from the academies that were practicing in the Sky Lake Mountain Range. Coincidentally, the Royal Martial House, the Imperial Wind House, the Rhino Martial House, the Bright Moon Martial House, and the Mammoth Martial House were all here. The only surprise was that the weakest one, the Heavenly Star Martial House, was also here. Of course, Lei Shi didn't have a specific standard for who was good and who was bad. His shriveled lips moved slightly, and he said, "I hope that all the high-ranked martial houses here can be the choice of our St. Bell City. The younger generation of our tribe can decide for themselves which martial house they want to go to." Hearing this, the other instructors couldn't help but shake their heads. Sure enough, the older the ginger, the spicier. In the past, it was the martial houses that chose the student. But now, it was the students that chose the martial houses. Not only that, but they could also choose any of the 10 martial houses, including the 5 most famous academies. Each martial house had its own teaching characteristic. If St. Bell City distributed the younger generations to the various martial houses, it could be said that they had gathered the strengths of hundreds of schools. In fact, this wasn't a big deal for the martial houses. After all, which martial house didn't have tens of thousands of students? Even the lowest-ranked Heavenly Star Martial House had over 8,000 students. This was just adding more people to the original foundation. The only difference was that St. Bell City was exempted from the test. As for whether they could succeed or not, it all depended on the younger generation of St. Bell City themselves. "Are there any other additional conditions?" a faint female voice asked. Everyone's gaze subconsciously swept toward the instructor of Imperial Martial Academy, Hong Lian. From the very beginning, this woman had been nonchalant, as if it had nothing to do with her. But when she heard that the first clan leader, Lei Huan, was a spiritual tattooist, her cold and elegant face lit up. The additional condition is that if St. Bell City is in danger in the future, such as the attack of demonic beasts, the intrusion of bandits, and so on, we can't solve these kinds of problems. I hope that the academies can lend us a hand. Wow. After Lei Shi said this, all the instructors were stunned. The old man in front of them was really thick-skinned. This meant that all the martial houses would unconditionally become the support team of St. Bell City in the future. Humph, don't you think this binding condition is too shameless? Hong Lian said coldly, not giving the other party any face. Lei Shi wasn't angry. A smile appeared on his wrinkled old face. If we were the only ones asking for help, it would indeed be inappropriate. But we can promise you that when the illusionary spirit bell is opened in the future, your martial houses can send their students here. But there is a limit on the number of places. Everyone's expression softened a little. This old man had some conscience. What do all of you think? Lei Shi asked. All the instructors looked at each other, and Hong Lian of Imperial Martial Academy spoke first. All right. My Imperial Martial Academy agrees to this. Giant Elephant Martial House also agrees. Spirit Rhino Martial House also has no objection. Bright Moon School is also interested in the illusionary spirit bell. Tifeng Province agrees. Soon, all the instructors present, including Shilan of Tensei Prefecture, expressed their decision. After all, those who could become the core team of a high martial house were not ordinary people. Under the support of mutual benefits, everyone came to a conclusion. In this case, today's verbal agreement is effective. Tomorrow morning, I will personally open the illusionary spirit bell in the Saint Bell Square. Everyone, please bring your students to attend the ceremony. Although a simple verbal agreement was the least guaranteed, Lei Shi wasn't worried that the high martial houses in the capital would violate the agreement. All the instructors exchanged a few words and left one after another. Not long after they walked out of the hall, a cold gaze fell on Shilan's back like a hidden arrow. Shilan's footsteps paused, and her beautiful eyes looked at Hong Lian not far behind her. You were lucky yesterday, but you won't be so lucky next time. A low but indifferent voice sounded, and Hong Lian's eyes were filled with coldness. Shilan clenched her jade-like hands, and a trace of coldness flashed across her beautiful face. What? You want to kill me? Hong Lian smiled faintly. If I wanted to kill you, would you still be alive? Shilan's calm tone did not change at all. But the person who almost died yesterday was you. It's just the power of a talisman array. Now that you're standing in front of me, I can take your life within 10 moves. Do you want to try? Hong Lian's expression turned frosty as she sensed the cold glint in Shilan's eyes. Although she was a high-level rune master, her martial arts cultivation was still slightly weaker than Shilan's. If Hong Lian had used her talisman array techniques, she might have been able to defeat Shilan. However, the two of them were standing face to face, and Shilan would not give her the time to set up a talisman array. This was the difference between Wu Xiu and a rune master. If there's a next time, I won't be soft-hearted anymore, Shilan warned coldly. Then, she turned around and left. Hong Lian's expression grew even uglier, and her cold face seemed to be covered in a thick layer of frost. Humph, you won't be soft-hearted anymore, and I won't make the same mistake again. After Shilan returned, she told the tutors and students in Tensei Prefecture about what had happened. Naturally, it caused a commotion. They did not expect to gain so much from their trip to Saint Bell City. Excited, everyone began to adjust their condition to prepare for the opening of the illusionary spirit bell the next day. Zhou Lu! Shilan suddenly shouted. What's wrong? Tutor? Where's Chu Hen? Chu Hen is resting in his room. Tutor Zhuo Mo has already checked him, and there's nothing wrong with him. Why are you looking for him? Nothing, you can go back to work. Oh, okay. Zhou Lu looked at Shilan, who turned around and left. She felt a little strange. Tutor Shilan had never asked about a student's situation like this before. Could it be that something happened between Chu Hen and Shilan outside? At this moment, Chu Hen, who had just finished adjusting his internal energy, had already changed into a clean set of clothes. Thinking about the things that happened in the past 2 days, it was really thrilling. It was better not to act recklessly in the future. Fortunately, he met Xia Qing this time. If he met someone else, there was almost no chance of him surviving. Because of this, Chu Hen was even more curious about Xia Qing's identity. There should be a chance to meet again in the future. Chu Hen muttered to himself softly. Then, with a thought, a storage ring with brown patterns appeared in Chu Hen's hand. This storage ring was the ring that he had taken from Blood Ghost's broken arm. I chased you for a night and almost died in your hand. This is compensation. Previously, Chu Hen had roughly checked that Butcher Hand Blood Ghost's collection was not small. There were more than 1,000 upper-grade primordial crystal stones. 1,000 upper-grade primordial crystal stones were equivalent to 100,000 mid-grade primordial crystal stones. Thinking back to the Youth Academy in Burning Rain City, Chu Hen could only receive 2 or 3 mid-grade primordial crystal stones every month. 100,000 versus 2 was simply unimaginable. Indeed, one would never know how big the outside world was if one did not step out of the house. Now that he thought about it, he was nothing more than a frog at the bottom of a well when he was in Burning Rain City. After a slight sigh, Chu Hen took out a large bottle and placed it on the table. The transparent glass bottle was clearly filled with dazzling red blood. When he touched the bottle with his fingers, a scorching heat spread from his fingertip. This should be the blood of the astral fire sword-tooth rhinoceros. Previously, according to Chu Hen's understanding, Butcher Hand Blood Ghost had captured Zhou Lu to serve as bait for the astral fire sword-tooth rhinoceros. The main reason was its beast blood. However, what was the purpose of Butcher Hand Blood Ghost collecting the blood of the astral fire sword-tooth rhinoceros? Chu Hen once again extended his consciousness into the storage ring to check. Soon, a dark red scroll appeared in Chu Hen's hand again. When the scroll entered his hand, a scorching heat spread. With some curiosity, Chu Hen slowly opened the scroll and saw the words, Flaming Sun Body Tempering Technique, written on the opening page. Flaming Sun Body Tempering Technique. Chu Hen was slightly stunned as he looked at the back of the scroll. Flaming Sun Body Tempering Technique, Upgradable Body Tempering Technique. Upon initial mastery, one will be surrounded by illusory flames, and one's physical body will be strong enough to resist blades. Upon mastery, one's defense will be extraordinary, and one's bones will be able to crack spiritual weapons. Crack spiritual weapons? As soon as these 4 words appeared, Chu Hen's eyelids twitched, and his heart shrank slightly. Until now, he had never heard of any body tempering technique that could resist spiritual weapons. Chapter 131. The Flaming Sun Body Tempering Art could strengthen one's body to the point of being able to resist swords and sabers. The strength of one's bones could even crack a spirit weapon. It was definitely a treasure. Chu Hen was overjoyed. He didn't expect the Butcher's Hand Bloody Ghost to have such a powerful body tempering art in his storage ring. Moreover, the Flaming Sun Body Tempering Art was a body tempering art that could be upgraded. A body tempering art that could be upgraded didn't have a specific level. It was neither a martial skill of the elemental opening realm nor a martial skill of the core transformation realm. The strength of this defensive martial skill would increase, according to the cultivator's own strength. As for what level it could be upgraded to, there was no clear indication on it. Since it was a body tempering art that could be upgraded and evolved, it meant that Chu Hen, who was at the 6th stage of the elemental opening realm, could also cultivate this martial skill. Then, Chu Hen discovered that the blood of a fire-type demonic beast must be used to cultivate the Flaming Sun Body Tempering Art. Moreover, it must be the blood of a fire-type spirit beast that was comparable to the human Wu Xiao, who was at the core transformation realm. Only by smearing the blood of the spirit beast all over the body and using the power of the fire in the blood to strengthen the tendons and bones could one cultivate this martial skill. No wonder the Bloody Ghost wanted to collect the blood of the divine fire sword-toothed rhinoceros. So that's why. Chu Hen came to a sudden realization. Thinking about it, Shui Gue had really put in a lot of effort to cultivate this Flaming Sun Body refinement art. If he had to blame someone, he could only blame the other party for being muddle-headed and underestimating Chu Hen's strength. In the end, he even lost his life. This time, all of the items had benefited Chu Hen. This trip to the Tianqi mountain range is really worth it. When I return to Tensei Prefecture, I'll start studying and cultivating this martial skill. Chu Hen didn't rush to study the content on it. After all, it wasn't a suitable time to cultivate in the current environment and situation. Immediately, Chu Hen put the scroll and the beast blood back into the storage ring. Then, he returned to his bed and activated the true core force in his body to enter a state of cultivation. Vigorous energy began to flow through Chu Hen's meridians. At the same time, the power of the sacred body of the demonic eye and the chaotic body constantly swam through Chu Hen's meridians. Shortly after, Chu Hen felt warm inside his body, as if he was running in a hot spring. Then, with a thought from Chu Hen, a clear and translucent high-grade primordial crystal stone appeared in his right palm. The surging spiritual energy flowed into Chu Hen's body like a river. The spiritual power contained in high-grade primordial crystal stones was really not comparable to that of middle-grade primordial crystal stones. The difference between the two was nearly 100 times. Immediately, Chu Hen couldn't help but speed up the absorption of spiritual energy. Now, Chu Hen could be said to be someone who didn't lack money. More than 1,000 high-grade primordial crystal stones, even if he consumed one a day, it would be enough for him to use for 3 years. Moreover, one high-grade primordial crystal stone could not be used for a day. Soon Chu Hen was enveloped in a thick layer of spiritual energy. The spiritual energy faintly like a golden mist lingered outside Chu Hen's body and constantly flowed into his body. Suddenly, a strange wave of power was immediately captured by Chu Hen. What was certain was that this power was particularly strange and had never appeared before. The source of the power wave was impressively the palm of Chu Hen's left hand. That is? Chu Hen was slightly startled. He used his divine sense to feel the source of the power. In the next moment, Chu Hen immediately sensed 7 strange light spots. In the hazy and dark blurry world, the 7 light spots were arranged in the shape of a bucket. They were as bright as the most dazzling stars in the night sky. This? Chu Hen was stunned again. Weren't these the 7 light spots that were imprinted on his palm when he opened the sacred star heavenly book? Then wouldn't it have disappeared? Why did they appear again? Very quickly, Chu Hen came to a realization. The 7 dots of light did not disappear. Instead, they fused into his body. What was the so-called biggest secret of the sacred star dynasty? Then, Chu Hen could vaguely sense that the 7 star spots seemed to contain a strange power. After a short hesitation, Chu Hen used his spiritual energy to integrate into the 7 star spots. His perception seemed to have touched an invisible wall and could not probe into it. Immediately, Chu Hen mobilized a trace of the demon eye's power to probe. In an instant, when they received the power of the sacred body's bloodline boundary, the 7 star spots suddenly blossomed with a dazzling light. 7 star spots quickly appeared on Chu Hen's left palm. At the same time, an extremely violent and overbearing power suddenly rose in Chu Hen's body. Hua! A circle of condensed and vigorous air waves was released from Chu Hen's body, and the whole bed was shaking uneasily. Chu Hen opened his eyes and tried to control the power released by the 7 star spots. The restless silver light gathered in Chu Hen's palm, and it looked like the condensed essence of the starlight. The 7 star spots on his palm flickered like the stars in the night sky. No, I can't control it anymore. Chu Hen was shocked. He raised his palm, and the uncontrollable power in his palm suddenly turned into a silver light beam and hit the stone table in front of him. Bang! A heavy vibrating sound exploded in Chu Hen's room. Under his shocked gaze, the table that was made of rock was instantly smashed into powder and dregs. The scattered air waves swept in all directions, and the whole house was shaking. F***ck, what's going on? Who has so much time to demolish a house? Mu Feng's voice came from outside the door. What happened? I don't know. It seems to be coming from junior brother Chu Hen's room. Many students from Tensei Prefecture were alarmed. They ran out of their rooms and looked at each other. Junior brother Chu Hen, what's wrong? Hauzi knocked on the door and asked. Chu Hen, who was stunned for a moment, quickly replied, "Oh, I'm fine. I accidentally overturned the table." Accidentally overturned the table? Are you kidding a fool? Overturning a table can cause such a big commotion? Mu Feng, who was outside the door, could not help but squint. He was shocked to find that there were actually small cracks on the wall. What the hell is this guy doing? Mu Feng was shocked. Fortunately, the houses in St. Bell City were sturdy. If it was an ordinary building, it would have collapsed. Of course, in order not to bring more trouble to Chu Hen, Mu Feng did not tell him what he had found. It's okay. I guess that guy didn't sleep well and fell off the bed. Let's go. Let's go. Mu Feng waved his hand to disperse the crowd. The crowd did not think any further and turned to leave. Hearing the sound of the people outside retreating, Chu Hen let out a sigh of relief. However, at this moment, Chu Hen's entire left arm was trembling. He looked at the stone table that had been smashed into powder in front of him and was filled with shock. This force was simply terrifying. I'm afraid that the destructive power of the light beam is almost close to the power of a core transformation realm expert. Chu Hen even suspected that he was the one who caused the light beam. The biggest secret of the Saint Star dynasty? Chu Hen let out a deep breath. He lowered his head to look at the gradually dimming and faintly disappearing 7 stars on his palm. His deep eyes were filled with seriousness. This matter must not be leaked to anyone. Although the force just now was powerful, it was not something that Chu Hen could control at this moment. Chu Hen only felt that his entire left arm was weak, and he could not use any strength at all. Looks like I have to be more careful in the future, Chu Hen murmured softly. Then, he raised his handsome eyebrows and a bright light flashed in his eyes. Once he mastered this strange power, it would definitely be his trump card in the future. Thinking of this, Chu Hen could not help but be grateful to Xia Qing. Logically speaking, anyone who tried to pry into the Saint Star dynasty's biggest secret would undoubtedly die. Xia Qing knew that Chu Hen might have read the Saint Star heavenly book, but she still let him go. This made Chu Hen feel extremely touched. Immediately, Chu Hen calmed his emotions and once again immersed himself in cultivation. This time, he was purely absorbing the spiritual power of the primordial crystal stone to cultivate. As for the secret of the 7 stars, it would not be too late to study it after his cultivation had improved. The sun and moon rotated, and the sky of St. Bell City was already dotted with billions of stars. In the beautiful night sky, a meteor streaked across from time to time. Sometimes, life was like the meteor in the night sky, short and hasty, burning one's entire life, just for a moment of brilliance. Phew! Chu Hen, who had been cultivating until midnight, slowly opened his eyes. Dense spiritual power filled his body. His foundation of the 6th level of element opening realm had become much more stable. The high-grade primordial crystal stone in his palm was still shining brightly. After almost half a day, he had only absorbed about 1/10 of the energy inside. Although it was only 1/10, it was equivalent to the total energy contained in 10 mid-grade primordial crystal stones. Compared to the 2 mid-grade primordial crystal stones that Chu Hen used in the past, this was not a small change. The further he went, the more primordial crystal stones he would need as his cultivation increased. At that time, it would not be strange for him to use up 1 or 2 high-grade primordial crystal stones a day. Of course, Chu Hen did not have to worry about this now. After being cooped up in his room for the whole day, Chu Hen wanted to take a walk outside. He got off his bed and casually opened the door. The tranquility of the night and the cool air of the night blew into his face. The stars in the sky were beautiful and moving, and the chirping of insects echoed in the silent night. Such a scene attracted Chu Hen, and he could not help but take a step out. Tomorrow, the illusionary spirit bell of St. Bell City would be activated. Almost everyone had gone to bed early to recuperate and prepare for tomorrow. However, at this moment, a black shadow quietly appeared in Chu Hen's line of sight. He slowly walked forward and saw that the person was squatting on the ground with a small and exquisite mouse in his hand. The mouse was not even the size of a fist, and its gray and white fur was very cute. However, in reality, this was a golden gnawing mouse. Its sharp teeth could easily bite through an adult's throat. Chapter 132. Senior Brother Hausi? Chu Hen called out to the black figure in front of him in surprise. The person was stunned at first, then turned around with an awkward expression. Chu Hen, Junior Brother Chu Hen, it's so late, why haven't you slept yet? I came out for a walk, what about you? What are you doing here so late at night? Chu Hen smiled and walked forward. Hausi first put his hand flat on the ground, then the little golden gnawing mouse jumped to the ground, turned around and disappeared into the night. Hausi stood up and shook his head. I can't sleep. What's on your mind? Chu Hen could vaguely see the loneliness and frustration in the other's eyes. No, nothing. You and I don't need to hide anything, you can tell me what's on your mind. Is it because you don't have enough primal crystal stones for cultivation? Enough, enough. Hausi quickly waved his hand. That day when you threw away Wei Qingfan's 200 high-grade primal crystal stones, I and Mu Feng picked up a lot of them. Then why can't you sleep? Hausi sighed helplessly and said with a bitter smile, It's really nothing big, I just feel that I'm too stupid. With so many primal crystal stones and the blood origin fruit you gave me, Mu Feng and Little Li can break through, but I'm still in the same place. This matter can't be rushed. Maybe in a few days the opportunity to break through will come. Chu Hen comforted. Ai, Junior Brother Chu Hen, you don't need to comfort me, I know my own ability. Even when I entered the Bright Moon Academy, it took me 2 years more than others. Previously I thought that I would be happy if I became good friends with you guys. But now I feel more and more useless, you guys are getting stronger and stronger, but I'm still so weak. Hausi's face was filled with loneliness. Ever since he and Mu Feng had almost lost their lives to those people from Imperial Martial Academy, Hausi had thought a lot about it. He had lost his confidence in himself. Don't give up on yourself so soon. Chu Hen patted him on the shoulder and said encouragingly with hesitation in his eyes, When we return this time, I'll see which teacher is suitable to teach you. I'm so stupid, there's probably nothing I can teach you, hee. Suddenly, a strange and sneaky laughter followed. Indeed, they can't teach you, but it's not because you're stupid, it's because they're incompetent. Who is it? Chu Hen and Hausi were both shocked. Swoosh! A strong wave of air attacked them, and a white-haired old man suddenly appeared on a stone block in front of them. The old man's peanut-sized eyes flashed with a sneaky luster. Damn, it's you, old fart. Chu Hen couldn't help but curse and subconsciously took a step forward, signaling Hausi to back off. What are you talking about? Damn brat, do you have any manners? Don't you know how to respect the elderly? The old man immediately jumped up and scolded with his eyes wide open. Chu Hen also had a look of anger. Do you know that you almost tricked me to death? Hee, aren't you still alive? The old man said with a sneaky smile. The person who came was none other than the mysterious expert who took Chu Hen away and asked him to copy the Sacred Star Heavenly Book, Thief Rat God. Chu Hen didn't expect this old man to have the face to come. Old Senior, what did you just say? Hausi looked at Thief Rat God in surprise. He didn't know why, but the old man in front of him gave him a very close and warm feeling. This feeling of closeness seemed to originate from his bones and blood. Not bad, not bad. Thief Rat God looked at Hausi with satisfaction. Little guy, don't you think we look alike? Alike? On the side, Chu Hen's heart skipped a beat. Upon closer inspection, Thief Rat Godly and Rat Thief Rat did indeed look somewhat similar. Especially that pair of peanut-like rat eyes, it was as if they were carved from the same mold. Old man, is Hausi your illegitimate child? No, he is the son of an illegitimate child? Bah! Thief Rat God was so angry that he blew his beard and glared at him. Don't you think I'm the one who sowed the seed? That's hard to say. Who knows where you were when you were young, humph? Thief Rat God snorted and then said to Housie, Little guy, none of those good-for-nothings in the imperial capital can teach you. Why? Housie asked. Because the boundary of your blood is different from ordinary people. Do you know what the boundary of our blood is? Of course, this old man can smell the rat scent in your bones from afar. This is really fate. This old man was worried that he wouldn't be able to find a successor in his lifetime. I didn't expect that the little girl from the imperial family would chase me here and let me pick up a successor. Not bad, hee hee. Thief Rat God's words made Housie somewhat puzzled, but Chu Hen heard it very clearly. His eyes narrowed and he coldly said, Thief Rat Senior, please don't fool people here. Fool? What do you mean fool? Isn't it? What are you trying to do? Chu Hen had been fooled once before. Now, he almost didn't believe Thief Rat God's word. Humph, brat, you dare to doubt me. It seems that if this old man doesn't show you some evidence, I won't be convinced. Buzz, before his voice died away, there was a slight fluctuation in the air. Along with a burst of bright golden light, the shadow of a rat suddenly appeared in front of Thief Rat God. This rat had shiny golden fur and looked like a weasel. Its two incisors were as sharp as a guillotine. It didn't give off the feeling of being weak and lowly like ordinary rat. Instead, it gave off a domineering aura. This is... As soon as he saw this rat shadow, Housie's eyes suddenly widened and he became somewhat incoherent. Hee, what do you think? Thief Rat God said with a sneaky smile. Housie clenched his fists and released an obscure aura. In front of him, there was also a faint shadow of a weasel. Chu Hen's pupils shrank. The weasel shadow that Housie had condensed was almost exactly the same as Thief Rat God's. However, the aura that the two emitted was simply like heaven and earth. What do you think? Do you believe me now? Thief Rat God withdrew his true yuan and the shadow in front of him disappeared. He looked at the stunned Housie with great interest and said, Little guy, do you know what bloodline limit this is? A rat. Housie replied. What rat? This is the heavenly stealing rat bloodline limit. It's a Xian body, do you understand? You're a motherf asterisk king genius. Do you think those high-ranked martial house trash are qualified to teach you? Thief Rat God's tone was slightly agitated. When Chu Hen and Housie heard this, they felt as if they had been struck by lightning. Their hearts were in turmoil. Xian body? Housie was so shocked that he stuttered. His small eyes were opened so wide that they almost popped out of their socket. Xian body? What did this mean? Above the battle body and below the sacred body. In this huge sacred star dynasty, those who possessed the mystic body bloodline limit were all famous figures. The birth of a Xian body was bound to attract the attention of the whole dynasty. Innate Xian body? Heavenly stealing rat bloodline limit. Chu Hen, who had calmed down, pondered over the truth of this matter. Experts at the level of Thief Rat God and Thief God had the ability to sense the boundaries of their bloodline. Judging from the shadows condensed from both sides, it was very likely that they had the same bloodline limit. Moreover, Thief Rat God didn't know Housie before. This should be the first time they met. These series of reasons proved that Thief Rat God wasn't lying. But even so, Chu Hen was still worried about what was going to happen next. Little guy, come with me, Thief Rat God said. Chu Hen clenched his fists and quickly said, Thief Rat Senior, what do you want to do? This old man heard everything you said just now very clearly. I already said that the heavenly stealing rat bloodline limit is a strange Xian body. Ordinary people can't discover the power of the Xian body. If he continues to stay in that school, the power of his bloodline will be destroyed sooner or later. The only person who can help him is me. Thief Rat Godly Thief's voice paused. He looked at Rat Godly Thief with a serious expression. Of course, this old man is getting old. I've thought of finding someone to inherit my mantle. You, who also have the heavenly stealing rat bloodline, are the most suitable. Besides me, no one knows how to teach you how to use the power of your bloodline." The other party's words immediately caused Rat to sink into contemplation. Chu-Hen looked at Thief Rat God. His clear eyes gradually became deep and sharp. At the same time, a faint purple luster surged in the depths of his pupils. Buzz. In the next moment, Thief Rat God frowned. He felt an invisible force probing his heart. "Kid, you're also a hidden master. Thief Rat Sr., don't be angry." Chu-Hen then withdrew the power of his demon eyes and said, "I already believe what Senior has said. But I sincerely ask Senior to follow Senior House's decision." Stealing Rat God narrowed his eyes and looked at Chu-Hen with a deeper meaning in his eyes. Just now, he felt as if he was seen through. He had never felt such a feeling before, and the one standing in front of him was a young man who was still wet behind the ears. This really surprised the Thief Rat Godly Thief. It seems that there are some good talents in the Sacred Star Dynasty. Senior, you flatter me. I only use some insignificant skills. It's not very elegant. Humph. Stealing Rat Godly snorted, and immediately said to Rat, "Little guy, you should think about it first." Then his voice paused, and he extended his hand towards Chu-Hen, and opened his palm. Chapter 133. Give me what I want. The Rat Thief Godly Thief let Housie think for himself, but he stretched out his right hand towards Chu-Hen. Chu-Hen was startled, then he pretended not to know and asked, "What is it?" "Hey brat, you're still pretending. What are you talking about? I worked hard to stall that little girl outside. Don't tell me you didn't copy anything. You still have the nerve to say that?" Chu-Hen was angry at the mention of this old man. This old man made him copy the imperial family's most confidential ancient book, Sacred Star Heavenly Book, and also provoked a large group of imperial experts to chase after him. He simply didn't care about Chu-Hen's safety. The most hateful thing was that at that time, Chu-Hen was almost killed by the aftermath of the Heavenly Thunder attraction, but this old man didn't save him. If the person he met was not Xia Qing, at this time, Chu-Hen would have gone to accompany the yellow soil. Hee, why are you embarrassed to say it? Otherwise, why do you think I came here for?" The Rat Thief Godly Thief said with a sneaky smile. Chu-Hen sighed and shook his head. He had to admit that this old man's face was thick to the point of shamelessness. Immediately, Chu-Hen pretended to helplessly ask the Rat Thief, "Do you think that if I get that thing, those people will let me come back?" The Rat Thief Godly Thief was startled. This was also true. If Chu-Hen really copied the Sacred Star Heavenly Book, with the style of the Imperial Family's secret team, they would most likely not let him come back alive. The Rat Thief Godly Thief rolled his small eyes and said with a strange smile, "Hee, that's not necessarily true. I saw that little girl save you with my own eyes. You know her, right? Since she saved you, she won't kill you. Little guy, if you have already got the contents inside, then give it to me. I said that I will give you a spirit tool as a reward." I also want a spirit tool." Chu-Hen sighed with extreme helplessness. "If you want to blame someone, you can only blame yourself, old senior." "Blame me for what? Don't you know that there are restrictions on that thing? I've been working on it for a long time, but I still haven't opened it, let alone seen what's inside." "Oh my God!" Thief Rat God couldn't help but slap his thigh. "I actually forgot about this. How stupid! Foolish!" Looking at the regretful expression of the Rat Thief, Chu-Hen felt refreshed in his heart. The Thief Rat Godly Thief didn't doubt Chu-Hen's words. This kind of thing could be figured out even with one's toes. After all, how could there be no restrictions on the things of the royal family? Ever since the Rat Thief Godly stole the Sacred Star Heavenly Book, he had been chased by the Imperial family's dark team. As a result, he didn't have time to read the contents of the book and forgot about the restriction. There is a flaw in every detail. It was truly an oversight. In that case, he really had no fate with the sacred star heavenly book. Sigh. What a waste of time. Thief Rat Godly shook his head and sighed. I say, Senior, you captured me for no reason, and almost took my life. Even if you don't have any merit, you should at least give me some credit, right? Don't you want to compensate me? Chu Hen unceremoniously stretched out his hand to ask for something. Go away, you didn't get what you wanted and you still want a reward? Damn, you old man, aren't you too stingy? You were the one who tricked me first, okay? The most hateful thing is that you didn't help me. Don't you feel even a little bit guilty? Chu Hen changed the topic and said to Housie, Senior Brother Housie, I don't think you should think about it anymore. This senior is not a good person, and if you follow him, you might be tricked one day. You. Hearing this, Thief Rat Godly couldn't help but jump 3 feet high and quickly said, Forget it, I'm afraid of you, I'll compensate you with this. Go play with the mud. Don't bother me. Saying this, Thief Rat Godly threw a gray cloth bag to Chu Hen. Ta! Chu Hen caught it and opened it curiously. Inside the cloth bag were dozens of exquisitely crafted jade pieces, and each jade piece was engraved with exquisite and mysterious runes. Spirit Fall Talisman? Chu Hen's eyes lit up. Humph, Spirit Fall Talisman? What kind of low-grade stuff is that? Thief Rat Godly said with disdain. Huh? Not Spirit Fall Talisman? Kid, open your eyes wide and look carefully. These are the Fire Spirit Talisman, Heavenly Thunder Talisman, and Violent Ice Talisman, refined by a high-level inscription master. What kind of trash are these Spirit Fall Talismans? Can they compare to my talismans? Fire Spirit Talisman, Heavenly Thunder Talisman, Violent Ice Talisman? Hearing these names, Chu Hen's eyes couldn't help but light up. The power of these talismans was used to deal with core transformation realm experts, and for Chu Hen, it was a life-saving talisman. But for Thief Rat Godly, who was at the void-piercing realm, the level of these talismans was relatively low, and he basically had no use for them. Therefore, giving them to Chu Hen was the most suitable. Looking at Chu Hen's shining eyes, Thief Rat Godly snorted proudly, Look at you, this old man can give these things to you as a firecracker to play with. Needless to say, these words were obviously meant for Housie. Chu Hen curled his lips and casually said, Old Senior, these talismans of yours won't explode and hurt you when you use them, right? Damn it, are you done or not? If you don't want them, return them to me. Hee, I'm just joking. How could Chu Hen not want these treasures? He immediately stored them in his storage ring without hesitation. Last time, when Renwei compensated him with a Spirit Fall Talisman, he had deliberately tampered with it, which led to the subsequent events. The things that Thief Rat Godly gave to Chu Hen naturally would not have those problems. Little guy, have you thought about it? Thief Rat Godly turned his gaze to Housie, his small eyes filled with anticipation. Housie let out a deep breath. He first looked at Chu Hen, and then said in a decisive tone, Where will we go in the future? The 4 seas are my home, I will steal wherever I go, hee. Chu Hen's eyes couldn't help but twitch. This really lived up to the title of Thief Rat Godly. A smile appeared on Housie's face. He no longer hesitated and resolutely nodded, I'll go with you. Although Chu Hen had already guessed Housie's decision, when he heard it from the other's mouth, he still felt some unusual emotions. Junior brother Chu Hen, although you are my junior brother, you have been taking care of me these days. I am really grateful to you, you are my first true friend in the imperial capital. Housie looked at Chu Hen seriously, his right hand clenched into a fist. One day, I will definitely come back to find you. Please help me apologize to Mu Feng, Little Li, and Zhou Lu. I can't say goodbye to them in person. Chu Hen's expression gradually relaxed. No matter what decision the other party made, as a friend, he would only support and feel happy for the other party. To be able to catch the eye of an expert like Thief Rat Godly, it could be said that it was a great opportunity that could only be found by chance. This could be regarded as a blessing for Housie. Hee kid, the next time we meet, I guarantee that this little rat will be able to hang you up and beat you. Thief Rat Godly proudly said to Chu-hen. If that's the case, then I will also be happy for senior brother Housie, haha. Don't doubt me. Let me tell you, with the 4 words Heavenly Rat Xian Body, in a few years, it will be enough to surpass you. Chu-hen smiled and did not argue with the other party on this matter. There was no reason for Chu-hen not to be happy that Housie could become stronger. Little rat, let's go. Thief Rat Godly said and turned to leave. Junior brother Chu-hen, take care of yourself and be careful of Wei Qingfan. Housie said. I will, take care of yourself. In the future, we will definitely drink and chat merrily. Definitely. Goodbye. Take care. In the end, Housie still left. Good people will be rewarded. This may be the good karma given to him by God. The limit of the Xian body bloodline was enough to create a huge physique in the Sacred Star Dynasty. When he turned from a mediocre person to a genius, he even met a talent scout who could recognize a fine horse. Looking at the two gradually disappearing into the night, Chu-hen's mouth showed a smile of blessing. Senior brother Housie, take care. Chu-hen was very looking forward to the next time they met. Housie would no longer be an ordinary Housie, but a real sky-stealing rat. The next morning, the gentle sunshine bathed the entire St. Bell city in a gorgeous holy light. A new day began in the morning with abundant spiritual energy. What did you say? The rat left? Where did he go? Mu Feng, Li Hui, Zhou Lu and the others all looked at Chu-hen in surprise. This kind of thing happened too suddenly. Everyone simply could not believe it. Chu-hen smiled. Senior brother Housie met an expert senior, who took him as a disciple and took him away. Damn, what is going on? Where did this expert come from? Is he reliable? Could the rat have been tricked? No, that expert is a top expert of the void-piercing realm. Furthermore, he didn't force Rat to leave. He left voluntarily with someone else. Chu-hen simply explained a few words. Everyone was surprised and suspicious. A void-piercing realm expert that was really an extraordinary expert. After marveling at the change of events, they could not help but feel sad for Housie's sudden departure, especially the female Zhou Lu, whose eyes were slightly misty. Subsequently, Chu-hen briefly explained the matter to mentor Zuemo. Zuemo was just a little surprised, but he did not dwell on this matter for too long. After all, with Housie's ordinary talent, for Tensei Prefecture, it was only one student less. Everyone, gather. After Shilan came out of the room, Zuemo began to gather all the students together. Today was the opening ceremony of St. Bell City's illusionary bell. As a condition of the previous deal, all the students who came here were qualified to participate in the ceremony. Chapter 134. Holy Bell Square. 5 towers towered in the center of the square, exuding a majestic aura like pillars supporting the heavens. These 5 towers were arranged in 5 directions: north, south, east, west, and center. The 4 towers in the east, south, west, and north were the subsidiary towers, each less than 100 meters high. The main tower in the center was the most majestic, more than 100 meters high. At the top of the tower was a giant bell. The bell was narrow at the top and wide at the bottom, with a width of 3 to 5 meters and a height of about 10 meters. Mottled green and rust stains covered the surface of the giant bell. An ancient and desolate aura was constantly being emitted from the giant bell. After 100 years of wind and rain, the corrosion of time had caused the giant bell to lose its former glory. At this moment, the Holy Bell Square was already filled with people. In addition to the people from the Holy Bell City tribe, there were also young students from the Imperial Martial House, Lingxi Martial House, Mammoth Martial House, Haoyue Martial House, and so on. The crowd was divided into different areas according to the positions of their respective schools. The grand scene exuded vitality and vitality. The members of the various teams surrounded a vast platform in the center of the square, which faced the 5 majestic bell towers. Everyone in the Holy Bell City had a look of devotion and respect on their faces. The genius students of the various martial houses were also full of anticipation. What kind of amazing power did the illusionary spirit bell possess? At a glance, the teams of the various martial houses all had eye-catching geniuses and powerhouses. Wei Qingfan of Tifeng Province, Xin Yunxi of Lingxi Martial House, Long Qingyang of Mammoth Martial House, Long Xuanshuang of Haoyue Martial House, Bai Yue of Tensei Prefecture, and so on. The young geniuses of the various sects were like a beautiful scenery in this sea of people. Big brother Chu Hen. Not far away, Yi Yao happily waved her little hand at Chu Hen in Tensei Prefecture. On her little wrist was the bracelet that Chu Hen had given her that night. Chu Hen's face revealed a warm smile as he nodded his head. Wei Qingfan crossed his arms in front of him and glanced at Chu Hen out of the corner of his eyes with contempt and disdain. Beside him stood the noble Yi Yu, Ren Wei, Guo Sen, and a few others. Behind the Spirit Rhino Martial House's Plum Blossom Sword Genius, Xin Yunxi, Xinwen, Lin Hai, and Shang Zhe all cast cold and sinister glances at Chu Hen. Xin Yunxi, on the other hand, looked calm and indifferent. He looked at the bell on the tower with great interest. Wow, 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 so many beauties! In the Tensei Prefecture team, Mu Feng's shifty eyes started to look left and right again. Today, the team from the Heavenly Star Martial House had attracted the attention of many people. The reason was naturally because of Xilan and Bai Yue. One was one of the 4 beauties of the imperial capital, and the other was one of the 6 pearls of the imperial capital. Boom! Suddenly, another burst of cheers sounded from the other side of the square. Everyone's attention swept towards the direction of the Imperial Martial School. Luo Mengchang, it's one of the 4 beauties of the capital. I didn't expect her to come. What day is it today? 3 of the 4 beauties of the capital and 1 of the 6 pearls are here. 4 of the top 10 beauties of the Sacred Star Dynasty have appeared. Today's trip is really worth it. The person who caused a commotion was a young girl beside Instructor Red Lotus of the Imperial Martial School. She was wearing a white floral dress, and her delicate facial features were flawless. Waha! Mu Feng's infatuation started to act up again. He kept using his elbow to poke Li Hui, who was next to him. Luo Mengchang, my favorite among the 4 beauties of the capital. Li Hui was infuriated by the other party's poke. He glared at him fiercely and then moved far away. You're crazy. You're not the only one who likes her. Chu Hen was slightly surprised. He didn't expect the team from the Imperial Martial School to come. He also didn't expect to see Luo Mengchang here. He didn't expect her to be one of the 4 beauties of the capital either. Of course, Luo Mengchang's beauty was undeniable. In terms of appearance, she was even better than Xilan and Long Xuanshuang. Who's the other one of the 4 beauties of the capital? Chu Hen asked casually. Are you serious? You don't even know this? Mu Feng said disdainfully. If it wasn't for you talking about it beside me every day, I really wouldn't know about the 4 beauties and 6 pearls of the capital. Then you have to thank me. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be able to see so many beauties. I'll thank your 8 generations of ancestors, all right? Hee hee, you're welcome, you're welcome. Let me tell you. One of the 4 beauties of the capital is the Princess Regent of the Imperial family. Huh! Chu Hen was stunned. Regent? That's right. She's the first female regent in the history of the Sacred Star Dynasty. Even the Emperor has to listen to her. Chu Hen was a little confused. Although he grew up in the general's mansion, Long Zhan had never told him, Long Qingyang, or Long Xuanshuang about anything related to the imperial court. It could be said that Long Zhan didn't want his children to have anything to do with the imperial court. In addition, Chu Hen really wasn't interested in this kind of thing. Therefore, it could be said that he knew nothing about the imperial court's political power. Chu Hen, don't listen to his nonsense. Zhou Lu shook her head and corrected herself. There's another one of the four beauties called Huang Fu-qing. She's the elder sister of the current emperor. Huang Fu-qing? Chu Hen nodded and smiled. He didn't think much of it. After a while, the chief of St. Bell City, Lei Shi, and the other three elders slowly walked up to the platform at the bottom of the bell tower. In an instant, the noisy atmosphere in the venue quietened down. Everyone. Lei Shi held onto his walking stick, his murky gaze sweeping across the people around him. In a low but powerful voice, he said, "I won't waste any more time talking nonsense. I believe that all of you have been briefed by your mentors. Whether you can obtain power from the illusionary spirit bell will depend on your own abilities. Now we will personally activate the illusionary spirit bell." As soon as he finished speaking, Lei Shi and the three elders beside him released a thick and powerful aura from their bodies. A piercingly cold gust of wind spread out from the stage. The four of them spread out and walked to the bottom of the four towers. In the next instant, four dazzling golden beams of light flew out from the four of them and connected to the four towers in front of them. Buzz buzz under Lei Shi's guidance, they continuously performed all kinds of complicated hand seals. As the aura from the four of them grew stronger, the ground suddenly trembled. Then, the four towers emitted an obscure energy wave. Chapter 135. Buzz buzz under the guidance of Lei Shi, the chief of the St. Bell City tribe, the few elders continuously formed various complicated hand seals. As the aura emitted by the four of them grew stronger, the ground beneath everyone's feet began to tremble slightly. Following that, the four towers in the north, south, east, and west all emitted an obscure energy fluctuation. Streaks of lightning-like silver runes appeared on the outer walls of the four towers at a speed visible to the naked eye. The runes that were as bright as lightning were like vines that contained a mysterious power. They quickly spread from the bottom to the top of the pagoda. In an instant, the four ancient and dilapidated pagodas became exceptionally mysterious and holy. From afar, they looked like four holy objects that were shrouded in lightning, causing people to involuntarily feel respect from the bottom of their hearts. The instructors and students of the various high-ranked martial houses all had solemn and expectant expressions on their faces. As for the people of the St. Bell City tribe, their faces were already filled with reverence and respect from the bottom of their hearts. Buzz buzz, in just a few blinks of an eye, the resplendent and mysterious runes had already covered the four subtowers, as if they were pillars of lightning. The speed at which Lei Shi and the others formed the hand seals became faster and faster, and the aura that erupted from them also became stronger and stronger. Following that, the four of them stopped their hand seals at the same time and shouted in unison, "Illusionary Spirit Bell, activate!" Rumble. In the next instant, a silver energy ball quickly condensed at the top of the four subtowers. Following that, four beams of light flew out from the energy ball and attacked the tallest main tower in the central region at the same time. An incomparably surging aura pressed down like a mountain, and the tallest main tower in the central region erupted with a dazzling golden holy radiance. Streaks of golden lines were like cracks on a dry riverbed, and in an instant, they covered the entire central main tower. The golden lines continued to extend upwards, and very soon, they reached the giant bell at the top. Dang! Accompanied by the melodious sound of the bell that shook all directions, everyone's heart could not help but tremble. The sound of the bell seemed to originate from the peak of the ancient and mysterious Tsang Mountain. It traveled across the sea, through the crowds of people, and finally entered everyone's ears, seeping into the depths of their souls. There was an indescribable feeling of antiquity. This is? The corners of Chu Hen's eyes narrowed slightly, and his pupils faintly surged with slight astonishment. Subsequently, under the astonished gazes of countless people present, the rusty, copper-green, and rust-like bell that looked like a piece of scrap metal blossomed with dazzling golden light patterns. Streaks of light appeared on the wall of the bell, and the rust and greenish bronze that covered it were instantly covered up. The crisscrossing light patterns turned into dense and mysterious runes. Amidst everyone's astonished expressions, the illusionary spirit bell erupted with a holy golden light that was as bright as the sun. Dazzling golden light poured down, directly projecting onto the central platform area below the sacred tower. In an instant, the area that was enveloped by the radiance of the phantom bell was like a god. The surface of the table became shiny with golden scales, as if it was covered with a layer of golden powder. Patriarch Lei Shur and the other 3 elders seemed to be bathed in the holy light. Their wrinkled faces were smoothed out, and their eyes were filled with an indescribable spirit. Everyone. Lei Shur's eyelids lifted, and his gaze swept across the crowd in front of him. His voice was as loud as thunder. The illusionary spirit bell has been activated. Whether or not you can obtain its power is entirely up to your own abilities. Lei Shur's voice paused, and he raised one hand. In a clear voice, he shouted, "Everyone, please ascend the stage. Please ascend the stage." As soon as he finished speaking, the students from the various high-ranked martial houses, who had long lost control of their emotions, were like a swarm of bees that rapidly rushed up to the central platform that was shrouded in golden light. Under such circumstances, the students from the 6 martial houses, Huang Wu, Di Feng, Ling Shi, Giant Elephant, Hao Yue, and Heavenly Star, were relatively calm, and there was no particular urgency. There were a total of 8 high-ranked martial houses that had come to St. Bell City, and the total number of genius students was about 900. Including the younger generation of the St. Bell City tribes, there were about 200 to 300 people. Of course, the area of St. Bell City's plaza was very vast, and the area that the illusionary spirit bell's power covered could accommodate up to 2,000 people. Everyone gathered together, but it did not feel crowded at all. The various genius students ascended the high platform one after another, and each of them sat down on an empty platform. The golden light sprinkled on everyone's bodies like layers of thin gauze. "Humph, a bunch of bandits!" a young girl from the St. Bell City tribe coldly scolded. Many people around her more or less revealed looks of disgust. In their opinion, the illusionary spirit bell was the most precious treasure of St. Bell City. Now that these outsiders in front of them shared the power of the illusionary spirit bell, it was only natural that they would reject it. "Don't say any more, this is the bargaining chip," Raisin shouted softly. "Humph, in my opinion, isn't it better for us to stay in St. Bell City for the rest of our lives? Why do we have to go outside?" Lei Zhen did not answer, but there was an indescribable complexity in his eyes. To be honest, he knew his peers in St. Bell City very well. There were very few people who really wanted to stay here for the rest of their lives, and almost everyone longed for the outside world, including Lei Zhen himself. Since he could not keep them, he might as well let them go. "All of you, stop arguing." Chief Lei Shur walked in front of Lei Zhen and the others with his walking stick. "Only when you become stronger can St. Bell City remain in this world forever. I only hope that when you leave this place in the future, you will be able to find your way back. When they leave this place in the future, they will be able to find their way back." It was a simple sentence, but it made the hearts of all the young people in St. Bell City tremble. Lei Zhen clenched his fists and said solemnly, "Chief, I, Lei Zhen, will never forget this place where I was born and raised." "Haha, good." Lei Shur nodded in relief. Then, he looked at a beautiful girl who was about 15 or 16 years old, slightly tanned, and exuded a wild beauty beside Lei Zhen. He said, Lei Zhen, in the whole St. Bell City, the 2 of you are the most talented. Don't lose to these outsiders." "Yes," Lei Zhen replied solemnly. Lei merely nodded indifferently and did not say anything. However, an unyielding arrogance flashed faintly in her beautiful black eyes. "Go," Lei Shur said with a heavy heart. Immediately, the young men and women of St. Bell City took their seats on the empty platform. The genius students of the various martial houses quickly occupied the empty space on the high platform. "Mengshang, don't disappoint me," Imperial Martial Academy's Red Lotus said with a smile. "I know, Mentor Red Lotus and Sister," Luo Mingxiang replied with a smile. Her eyes were bright and her teeth were white, and she looked very beautiful. Tifeng Province's Wei Qingfan led Yi Yu Yi Yao, and the rest to the high platform. Lingxi Martial House's Plum Blossom Sword, Shun Yunxi, also had a sharp aura, and his calm temperament exuded a sharp sword light. Long Qingyang, Long Xuanshuang, and the rest also followed. Finally, Tensei Prefectures by Yue, He Qingyuan, Bian Hong, and the rest, all the genius students also entered the area covered by the illusionary spirit bell's light. Let's go as well, Mu Feng impatiently said with a happy smile. Li Hui, Zhou Lu, and the rest followed closely behind. Chu Hen walked behind them. He seemed to be a little absent-minded and his mind was not very focused. As for why it was like this, even Chu Hen himself did not know. Buzz, when Chu Hen stepped onto the platform shrouded in golden light, he immediately felt an indescribably peculiar feeling. The delicate light seemed to penetrate through his skin and into his limbs, and his whole body was covered with a faint soft luster. Hey, why are you here too? Suddenly, a sweet female voice entered his ears. Chu Hen was stunned at first, and then a beautiful, elegant, and refined face came into view. Miss Mingxiang. Chu Hen's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. Luo Mingxiang's beautiful eyes were slightly delicate. I forgot to ask you last time. Which school are you from? Heavenly Star. Heavenly Star. Luo Mingxiang seemed a little surprised, but there was no disdain on her face like the others. I haven't thanked you for last time, let's talk when we have time. Chu Hen smiled gently and nodded. The scene of Luo Mingxiang and Chu Hen's conversation was seen by many people around them. Oh my God! How does this guy know Luo Mingxiang? There's no end to this. Mu Feng cried and made a scene, and his teeth itched with hatred. First it was Long Xuanshuang, then it was Yu Qinyu, and now it was Luo Mingxiang. Even Xilan was Chu Hen's direct mentor. It seemed that as long as it was a beautiful woman, they would have fate with Chu Hen. Idol, junior brother Chu Hen, is a man's role model. Li Hui's face was full of admiration, and he casually said, Long Xuanshuang is his sister, Xilan is his mentor, and Luo Mingxiang is someone he knows. Do you think that Huang Fuqing, one of the four beauties of the imperial capital, also knows senior brother Chu Hen? Forget it. There's no connection between them at all. Huang Fuqing lives in the imperial city, how could Chu Hen meet her? Mu Feng sneered, a little unbalanced, and said, If he knows Huang Fuqing, I, Mu Feng, will drink a bowl of horse piss. You're really cruel to yourself. You seem to be a little too proud, don't you know what you're worth? A frivolous and indifferent ear-piercing voice followed. A tall and slender figure suddenly walked past Chu Hen's side. Chu Hen's eyes narrowed, and he coldly retorted, Wherever you go, it's your business. Can't you stop hanging around in front of me? Young Master Wei. Chapter 136. It's your business no matter where I go. Can't you stop loitering in front of me? Young Master Wei. A cold gust of wind swept across the stage. Chu Hen and Wei Qingfan's sudden encounter caused a series of invisible sparks to fly in the air. The geniuses of the martial house, who had more or less taken their seats on the square, all turned their gazes towards them. Long Qingyang and Long Xuanshuang looked at each other and simultaneously prepared themselves. If Wei Qingfan dared to touch Chu Hen, they would not hesitate to act. Of course, it was impossible for them to act in this situation. Sure enough, Wei Qingfan did not release the slightest bit of energy. Instead, a disdainful smile appeared on his face. You won't be able to see me very soon. The profound meaning behind these words was that the dead could not see anything. Obviously, Wei Qingfan was threatening him. Chu Hen smiled and shrugged his shoulders, but he did not seem to care at all. Humph! Wei Qingfan sneered and did not say anything else. He continued to walk past Chu Hen. Yi Yu, Yi Yao, Ren Wei, and Guo Sun followed behind Wei Qingfan. The latter two had cold expressions on their faces, while Yi Yu did not even glance at Chu Hen. She had been looking straight ahead, completely ignoring Chu Hen. Yi Yao's clear eyes were filled with worry as she passed by Chu Hen. Chu Hen smiled and nodded at her, indicating that she did not need to worry. However, after the few of them passed by, a dense and cold frost occupied Chu Hen's eyes. A chilliness quietly surged between his sharp brows. That guy has really offended a lot of people. Shang Zhe, Lin Hai and Xinwen, who were standing behind Plum Blossom Sword Shin Yunxi, all looked at him with schadenfreude. Shin Yunxi narrowed his eyes and said with great interest, "This person is not bad." "Big brother, why are you always praising others?" Xin said with some dissatisfaction. "It's rare for a new student to have such courage. However, if his strength isn't enough, then he's just being arrogant and foolish." Shin Yunxi answered slowly. Shang Zhe laughed coldly. "Then he must be an idiot." However, while the few of them were mocking Chu Hen behind his back, they had all forgotten that they had almost lost their lives under Chu Hen's Devil Punisher spear a few months ago. Before long, the younger generation of St. Bell City's tribes, as well as the geniuses of the various martial houses, all sat down on the platform. 5 ancient pagodas towered in front of everyone, emitting a majestic aura like that of a mountain. Runes flashed on the pagodas, giving off an unshakable might. The illusionary spirit bell was suspended at the top of the central main tower, sprinkling down golden light like the sun. The golden light enveloped the central Tao platform, bathing the 1,300 young geniuses in the holy light. Each of them was covered in a faint luster. "Everyone, you may begin. As I said before, it's all up to you whether you can obtain the power stored in the illusionary spirit bell by ancestor Lei Huan," Chief Leisure said loudly. After that, he and the other 3 old men left the platform and returned to the crowd of St. Bell City's tribes. As far as the eye could see, there were only a few instructors from the various martial house teams left standing in the audience. "What's the secret in the illusionary spirit bell?" Zuormo asked Shilan, who was in front of him. Shilan pondered for a moment before she lifted her beautiful eyes. Her red lips parted slightly as she said, "It should be the inheritance left behind by Patriarch Lei Huan. As for the highest level of inheritance, it's most likely related to the rune energy, the power of runes?" Zuormo couldn't help but narrow his eyes as he murmured to himself. Time was ticking away. The entire St. Bell Square had already fallen into a dead silence. On the Tao platform below the St. Tower, more than 1,000 young geniuses were sitting like boulders. Under the golden holy light, each of them was shining with a dazzling luster. Everyone was quietly comprehending the power transmitted from the illusionary spirit bell. They were trying to integrate their divine consciousness into it to sense it. However, according to Chief Leisure's words, it was not an easy task to obtain the power in the illusionary spirit bell. As expected, after a while, a buzzing sound was heard, and there was a faint sound of air waves on the platform. Following that, a young man was the first to awaken from the state of perception. His face was filled with confusion and loneliness. He failed. And he's the first one? Everyone only has one chance to sense it. It won't work the second time, Chief Leisure said calmly below the platform. As soon as Leisure's voice fell, the golden light that the illusionary spirit bell cast on the first young man who failed quickly faded away. It was especially dim and eye-catching among the crowd. "So that's how it is." Instructor Yushan of the Giant Elephant Martial House nodded in realization. Following that, the young man walked down from the Tao platform and returned to the area where his martial house was located. He was a student of the Thunder Martial House. Soon, a second person finished perceiving. This was Spirit Rhino Martial House's disciple. Then a third, a fourth, a fifth. More and more young students began to awaken from their state of perception. The golden splendor that the illusionary spirit bell had sprinkled onto their bodies began to fade one after another. "Sigh, I didn't sense anything. My head is still dizzy. There's clearly nothing. Yes, I vaguely saw a giant bell." "Really?" "Of course it's true. It's just that when I wanted to approach it, I woke up. Looks like I'm not fated with the power in the illusionary spirit bell. Listening to the discussions of the crowd, the people from the St. Bell City tribe more or less snorted disdainfully. The illusionary spirit bell was their tribe's most precious treasure. They were very clear about the power contained in it. Its power was not something that could be easily sensed and obtained. While they sneered at these outsiders, the people from the St. Bell City were also paying attention to Lei Zhen and Lei Li's situation. Although they shared the power of the illusionary spirit bell with outsiders, they could not lose to them. In fact, the mentors from the various martial houses had the same thought. In a certain sense, this was actually a kind of contest. The number of people waking up continued to increase, and more people returned to the arena. This feeling was like going through the motions in a hurry, making up the number of people on the stage before coming down. In less than half an hour, there were only half of the people left on the Dao platform. No one had expected such a shocking elimination rate. Damn it. It's too difficult. I've clearly touched the golden bell, but it still doesn't work. Patriarch Lei Shi, how do we sense the power of the illusionary spirit bell? A talented young student could not help but ask. He thought that with his talent and strength, he should be able to sense the power. He did not expect to be eliminated so early. Hearing the question, the surrounding people unconsciously turned to look at Lei Shi. Lei Shi nodded slightly and narrowed his old eyes. If you want to sense the power of the illusionary spirit bell, outstanding talent is not the most important thing. The most important thing is to have an extraordinary temperament and determination. Then, may I ask Patriarch Lei, how does one successfully sense the power of the illusionary spirit bell? It's very simple, Buzz. Without waiting for Lei Shi to finish his sentence, a strange energy fluctuation suddenly spread out from the surface of the platform. Everyone's heart could not help but be shocked. Their gazes swept toward the same direction. They saw an uneasy and vast aura above a young girl. The surging golden light was like a whale sucking in water, quickly gathering above her. In the blink of an eye, an illusory golden bell shadow faintly appeared in front of everyone. This is? In that instant, the crowd below the Dao platform could not remain calm. However, Imperial Martial Academy's core instructor Hong Lian's eyes lit up, a faint look of surprise flashing in her beautiful eyes. Whoosh! It's Imperial Martial Academy's junior sister Meng Xiang. What's going on? The entire Dao platform was in an uproar. Immediately after, the entire Dao platform was filled with a surging cold aura. The majestic golden holy light was like a surging river. In the next moment, the illusory golden bell shadow appeared above Wei Qingfan, Shen Yunxi, Bai Yue, and Long Xuanshuang. The illusory golden bell shadow above the five of them was about 1 to 2 meters wide and 3 meters tall. The bell's surface shone with mysterious patterns, and an obscure and restless energy fluctuation was constantly released, causing the air to tremble. Does this count as a success? The crowd below the Dao platform looked at each other in shock and doubt. Chief Lei Shi, on the other hand, was currently frowning slightly as he looked at the St. Bell City's younger generation. His wrinkled old face showed a hint of complex emotions. You little fellows, you can't lose to these outsiders. Whoosh! At this moment, the same astonishing energy fluctuation appeared above Lei Zhen and Lily in the St. Bell City's tribal area. A dazzling golden light spun rapidly. The space faintly trembled, and a holy radiance gathered like a divine sun. Then, a mysterious shadow of a golden bell appeared a few meters above Lei Zhen and Lily. The golden bell shadow floated above them, and the silver runes on the bell's surface flowed slowly. It gave off the feeling that it was a huge golden lantern hanging high in the sky, and a mysterious and powerful energy was transmitted from it. Chief Lei Shi, as well as the entire St. Bell City, heaved a sigh of relief when they saw the two dazzling golden bell shadows. Chapter 137. Buzz, Luo Mingxiang, Wei Qingfan, Xin Yunxi, Bai Yue, Long Xuanshuang, Lei Zhen, Lei Li. In a blink of an eye, an illusory shadow of a golden bell appeared a few meters above the heads of the seven of them. The walls of the bell flickered with silver runes, like lightning and arcs. An obscure and mysterious power was constantly being transmitted. Was this considered a success? While the crowd was still in shock, they unconsciously turned their questioning gazes towards the clan leader of St. Bell City, Lei Shi. As long as the bell shadow is condensed, one can successfully perceive the power of the illusory spirit bell. Lei Shi's answer confirmed the crowd's thoughts. Wow! In an instant, the young disciples of the high-ranked martial houses all revealed looks of amazement. In this case, Luo Mingxiang was the first person to successfully perceive the power of the illusory spirit bell. Even Wei Qingfan and Xin Yunxi, the two famous geniuses, were one step slower than her. This was really unexpected. As for Bai Yue and Long Xuanshuang, they were ranked 4th and 5th respectively. The crowd was not too surprised that they had condensed the shadow of the golden bell. After all, in the capital city, the two of them were famous for their high talent. Clan leader Lei, may I ask, what kind of power of inheritance will the person who successfully perceives the power of the illusory spirit bell obtain? A young student asked the question that everyone wanted to know. Lei Shi smiled indifferently and shook his head slightly. He said, "The power left in the illusory spirit bell by clan leader Lei Huan is quite amazing. Even we have not been able to study it thoroughly. They may be able to obtain a special secret seal, or they may be able to inherit a part of the power and improve their cultivation in a short period of time. Of course, I have already informed your teachers about clan leader Lei Huan's identity as a spiritual tattooist. A spiritual tattooist was a transcendent existence above a high-level tattooist. Even in the entire Saint Star dynasty, there was only one spiritual tattooist. The crowd's eyes were filled with envy. If anyone could obtain the power of inheritance related to the power of a tattooist, it would be really enviable. As time passed, the situation on the platform that was enveloped by the golden light kept changing. More and more young geniuses successfully condensed the golden bell shadow and successfully communicated with the illusionary spirit bell. However, there were even more people who failed. They shook their heads with bitter smiles and walked down the stage in disappointment. In the blink of an eye, there were only 100 or so young geniuses left on the stage. Except for one person, everyone else had a resplendent golden bell phantom hovering above their heads. This person was none other than Chu Hen. That's strange. That shouldn't be the case. Instructor Zuomo, who was in the Tensei prefecture team, mumbled to himself in confusion, with this kid's talent, he shouldn't fall behind others. The other mentors were also puzzled. At this moment, even Mu Feng, Li Hui, and Zhou Lu had successfully communicated with the power of the illusionary spirit bell. As the most outstanding rookie this year, Chu Hen shouldn't be at this level. Among the 1,300 people, only 100 or so people successfully perceived the power of the illusionary spirit bell. Less than 200 people. This failure rate was beyond the expectation of all the mentors of the martial house. At this moment, Chu Hen, the only one who failed to condense the golden bell shadow, was like a swallow standing in a flock of cranes, eye-catching and outstanding. It turns out that this year's top newcomer is just SOSO. I thought he would be more amazing. He should come down the stage soon. Several extremely discordant voices sounded around the stage. Many people showed a playful smile on their faces. There was no lack of people who, after their own failure, laughed at others for seeking balance in their hearts in order to soothe the discomfort in their hearts. But they didn't know that it was just the pot calling the kettle black. Of course, because Chu Hen's name had recently become famous, the things that he did had once attracted the attention of everyone. That was why he became the target of everyone. Listening to the surrounding people's discussion and laughter, Shilan quietly looked at the young figure on the stage. Compared to the others, Shilan didn't think that Chu Hen didn't even have the ability to do so, because at this moment, his breathing was especially steady, not the slightest bit hurried. That guy is still putting on an act? Did he wake up early and can't bear to come down? Shang Zhe, who was in the Lingxi martial house, crossed his arms in front of him, his tone full of sarcasm. If he woke up, the golden light on his body would have faded. Xinwen, who was next to him, said, "Then he most likely didn't enter the state of perception from the beginning." "Ha ha ha ha, that's possible." Several people burst into laughter. However, at this moment, a fierce aura gushed out from the Dao platform. In a split second, golden light surged above Chu Hen's head. Rays of light lingered around, and one after another, golden light beams rotated in a spiraling manner. In less than 2 blinks of an eye, a dazzling golden bell illusion appeared in midair. The appearance of this scene immediately made the people below the stage shut their mouths. The smiles on Shang Zhe, Xinwen and the others' faces froze, and were replaced by a gloomy and cold expression. The people on the Tensei Prefecture side were slightly relieved. Instructor Zuomo shook his head and smiled. "This guy, is he doing this on purpose?" Whoosh! A dazzling white light flashed, and Chu Hen's perception consciousness turned from hazy to clear. In the hazy dark space, the strange energy fluctuations were like circles of ripples on the surface of the water. When Chu Hen was here, it was as if he had walked into an unknown chaotic world. That is, Chu Hen's face revealed astonishment as he looked in front of him. A dozen or so meters in front of him, there was a simple and unadorned huge bell floating. It was an incomparably huge golden bell. It was approximately 100 meters tall and tens of meters wide. Standing in front of Chu Hen, it was like a magnificent mountain. The golden bell was lingering with soft fluorescent light, and in this hazy space, it was unusually sacred. With a little excitement and confusion, Chu Hen stepped forward. Every time he took a step, a circle of white ripples would appear under his feet. When Chu Hen walked in front of the giant bell, he could especially clearly see the mysterious runes on the bell's wall. The runes were like the vigorous strokes of a master, like dancing dragons and dancing phoenixes, revealing an indescribable majestic aura. The dense runes covered the layers of the giant bell, and the thing in front of him seemed to be the hand of a holy spirit. At this moment, a thought appeared in Chu Hen's mind out of nowhere. He solemnly stretched out his right palm and gently placed it on the bell's wall. The surging power of true essence poured into the giant bell through Chu Hen's palm. In the next moment, with Chu Hen's palm as the center, a series of mysterious runes around it were instantly lit up. The bright light bloomed on the runes, and the giant bell began to tremble faintly. As the runes were lit up, dense silver light spots rose in the air. The light spots were like a dazzling brilliance, and they quickly poured into Chu Hen's body. Immediately afterward, Chu Hen only felt that there was a strange power in his body. This power became more and more powerful, and it constantly flowed through the major meridians in his body. Chu Hen could feel that his true essence was increasing at a considerable rate. So that's how it is. Chu Hen began to understand what kind of power was contained within the illusionary spirit bell. His mind immediately focused, and he once again poured a steady stream of true essence into the giant golden bell in front of him. With the influx of true essence, more and more runes lit up on the bell's wall. The bright runes were like vines that constantly grew, full of vitality. Sacred Bell Square. Over 100 young geniuses were immersed in perceiving the power of the illusionary spirit bell. At the peak of the bell tower, the illusionary spirit bell was like a divine sun in the highest heavens, sprinkling down a holy light that covered the platform. The golden bell phantom that floated above everyone's heads was like a strange lantern. At a glance, everyone noticed that the golden bell silhouettes condensed by everyone were at different degrees of materialization. Some phantoms were deep and solid, close to a real object. There were also phantoms that were scattered and transparent, their colors illusory. Gotcha! Suddenly, there was a slight cracking sound that caused everyone's hearts to skip a beat. Then, they saw that the golden bell phantom above the head of a giant elephant Marshall House disciple cracked open without any warning, and a deep crack spread out like a spider web on the bell's wall. Then, with a crisp ping sound, under the bewildered eyes of the audience, the golden bell phantom burst apart, turning into golden fragments that filled the sky and dissipating between the heavens and the earth. Almost at the same time, the Marshall House disciple awoke from the perceiving state, and the radiance that covered his body rapidly faded away. Obviously, the other person's perception had ended. But what was different from the previous people was that this person had successfully obtained the power of the illusionary spirit bell. How was it? What power did you obtain? As soon as the other person stepped off the stage, many busybodies quickly surrounded him. However, he only smiled and shook his head. A secret technique, seal technique. What secret technique, seal technique? Tell me. Wung. Gotcha. Immediately, one after another, the golden bell phantoms shattered on the stage. After the young geniuses had successfully obtained the power of the illusionary spirit bell, they awoke from it. Everyone in the audience had a variety of envious and curious eyes, and they all gathered around. How was it? What benefits did you obtain? It's a secret. Damn, what's the situation with that illusionary spirit bell? Hurry up and tell me. I sensed an ancient giant bell. Only by lighting up the runes on the giant bell can I obtain the power of the illusionary spirit bell. The more runes light up, the more power I will obtain. So that's how it is. In other words, the more runes on the giant bell light up, the clearer the golden bell phantom outside should be? That's right. Chapter 138. By integrating one's consciousness into the illusionary spirit bell, one would be able to sense an ancient giant bell and use one's own power to light up the runes on the giant bell. This would allow one to obtain the power within the illusionary spirit bell. The more runes lit up, the more power one would obtain. Similarly, the illusory image of the golden bell would become more solid and clear. So that's how it is. In other words, we can determine who lit up the most runes from the degree of solidification of the illusory image of the golden bell. You can think of it that way. The crowd below the stage roughly understood the process of the illusionary spirit bell's operation from the people who had awakened one after another. Then, everyone's eyes swept across the illusory images of the golden bell created by Luo Mingshang, Wei Qingfan, Shen Yunxi, and other famous geniuses. The most solid illusory images of the golden bell were Luo Mingshang from Huangwu, Wei Qingfan from Difeng, Shen Yunxi from Lingxi. Then, Bai Yue from Heavenly Star, Long Xuanshuang from Haoyue, and Lei Zhen and Lei Li from Saint Bell City. Geniuses are indeed geniuses. The crowd below the stage secretly exclaimed. No matter when, geniuses with high talent would always be so dazzling. As time passed, the illusory images of the golden bell created by the geniuses became more solid, and the silver light patterns on the walls of the bell were clearly visible. However, the illusory images of the golden bell above the heads of more and more people exploded. The number of people on the stage was decreasing, but the longer it was, the more excited the people who came down from the stage were. The reason for this was needless to say. They must have gained a lot. On the side of Tensei Prefecture, Zhou Lu, Li Hui, He Qingyuan, Bian Hong, and Lu Yu had already come down from the stage. Little Li, what did you get? Zhou Lu asked curiously. Li Hui's lips curled into a proud smile as he answered mysteriously. It's a secret. Tisk, so secretive. I beg you to tell me. Then beg me. Beg me and I'll tell you. Get lost. Instructor Mo looked at the excited students and couldn't help but reveal a faint smile on his face. At the moment, the Tensei Prefecture also had Bai Yue, Chu Hen, and Mu Feng. Among them, Bai Yue could be said to be far ahead of the other two. The golden bell phantom that she had condensed was especially close to a real object. It was in no way weaker than the other monstrous geniuses of the martial house. Mu Feng is quite good at managing things at critical times, Zhou Lu said. He should be coming down soon. I wonder how long Chu Hen can last. In my opinion, senior brother Chu Hen will at least be able to make it to the top 3. Li Hui clenched his fist and said, "Heh, top 3? Forget it." A slightly ear-piercing voice came out of Bian Hong's mouth. You guys underestimate the power of the illusionary spirit bell. The runes on the giant bell can't be lit just by luck. Bian Hong's strength was among the top of the direct disciples of instructor Shilan, and he was even stronger than He Qingyuan. Since he had spoken, Li Hui and Zhou Lu didn't dare to say anything else. However, Zhou Lu still muttered in her heart, "Don't underestimate Chu Hen. Just wait and see." Although Chu Hen's cultivation was only at the 6th level of the element opening realm, Zhou Lu always felt that there was nothing that could stop him. She and Li Hui had an indescribable confidence in Chu Hen. Very quickly, 2 hours quietly passed. Currently, there were only 20 or so people left on the platform, and the golden bell shadow floating above everyone's head was very solid. Every golden bell was almost exactly the same as the actual golden bell. If one didn't look closely, it would be hard to tell the difference. What was most surprising was that among the 20 or so people, 4 of them were this year's new students. These 4 people were Chu Hen, Mu Feng, Yi Yu, and Yi Yao. Previously, when they were in Tifeng Province, Yi Yu's talent had already gained the recognition of the Academy's senior instructors. However, under the halo of her elder sister, Yi Yao, as the younger sister, had always been very low-key. Many times, people only knew that Yi Yu had a beautiful and cute younger sister, but they all overlooked Yi Yao's equally high talent. Yi Yu and junior sister Yi Yao are not bad. They're much stronger than us, a student from Tifeng Province said. Haha, that's for sure. How can someone whose senior brother Wei Qingfan likes be a vase? Guo Sen smiled faintly with interest. As he said this, he didn't forget to glance at Chu Hen on the other side with a somewhat disdainful expression. I know junior sister Yi Yu's talent, but I didn't expect junior sister Yi Yao to be so powerful. I didn't expect that either. The teacher in charge of Tifeng Province, Li Gu, was also surprised. These students were all recruited from Flame City. Li Gu was naturally happy that Yi Yu and Yi Yao were outstanding. However, in comparison, he was more concerned about Chu Hen. What kind of heights would Chu Hen reach next? Gotcha! Suddenly, a faint cracking sound was heard from the stage. The shadow of the golden bell above Mu Feng's head began to crack densely. When the cracks spread all over the bell, the golden bell instantly turned into crystal fragments that filled the sky. Mu Feng woke up, and a piercingly cold and vigorous aura leaked out from his body. The people of Tensei Prefecture burst into applause and cheers. Good job, Mu Feng. You're amazing. Mu Feng's eyebrows twitched slightly. He smiled slightly proudly as he walked down from the stage. Buzz. Almost at the same time, the shadow of the golden bell above Yi Yu also cracked into countless densely packed cracks. Along with a surge of power, the crystal fragments spread out in all directions like a halo on the surface of the water. The people of Tifeng Province clapped and cheered in unison. At this time, the performance of everyone on the stage was enough to make people feel envious and amazed. Congratulations, junior sister Yi Yu. Haha, you're too outstanding. Really beautiful. Listening to the cheers below the stage and looking at the situation around her, Yi Yu's face showed some pride. When she looked at Yi Yao, who was still in a state of perception, a hint of surprise flashed in Yi Yu's eyes. She didn't expect Yi Yao to persist longer than her. Of course, everyone understood. It wasn't that whoever persisted longer had a better result. It mainly depended on who lit up more runes and whose illusionary shadow of the golden bell was more solid. It was very likely that Yi Yao's speed of lighting up the runes was slower, which was why she had not woken up yet.